Hello, everybody. We got an absolute stacked squad today for Chalkcast number 6 on the no pointing. Remember, no pointing. Top left, we got Rise, me right here, dead center, up at the top. Johnny to my right. Bottom left, we got Yummy Cheeseman, which I just learned how to pronounce. Bottom middle is Hootie Hoo, and bottom right is Shock.
Also, Rise, you're looking tiny today. What's going on? I thought you were hitting the gym.
I'm further away. I'm lying back.
He's lounging.
I'm lounging.
He's relaxed.
But yeah, right before this, I mean, we have all the topics with, NAEU, all that stuff. But before we were starting this, these guys were talking about kickoffs and how underdeveloped they were. So if they wanted to carry on that conversation, yeah. I was halfway in and out.
Hold on, I gotta go live. Wait.
Literally had an entire stream, essentially, chat show off stream. It's been going for like 20 minutes. Shock, you were talking about it, right?
Yeah. I was kind of talking like Rizzo said, like how kickoffs are so underdeveloped in threes, and how I think we're going to start seeing a shift like into more kickoff strategies all throughout the game instead of just needing like Johnny said earlier. We need a goal. It's the last 5 seconds. We got to tie it. I'm gonna do a fake kickoff. But instead, we're gonna see a strategy for every single kickoff that comes into play to try to get that little edge. Because I was saying that I think that we're running out of ways to vastly improve like very quickly in Rocket League because it's been starting to be around for a while. But also, Rise said that we probably said that 3 years ago too. So not quite.
Yeah. Sure. I remember RLCS season 3 talking about this. Like it's been a conversation since the very beginning. So when are you players actually going to put in some work? Like surely that is one of the easiest things to just do as a little extra during scrims, right?
Absolutely. I mean, it's definitely just on account of laziness. I mean, a lot of teams still don't practice the right way in general in scrims.
I actually think it's ranked that ruins it because everybody just autopilots and ranked
left goes
across to tournament. Like nobody thinks about it.
Well, actually, we talked about this on didn't we talk about this weeks ago, Rizzo? The kickoff left goes skin came up. I didn't even know about that recently.
Yeah, it's like you and Scrub are basically the only people. And I think OCE who don't do left goes or something like that.
No, OCE does, yeah.
Oh, okay. It's just Johnny and Scrub.
In EU ranked, it's whoever says I got it, or they actually know each other's priorities. It's crazy because I remember.
But what if nobody says anything?
Then you both go with each other.
You both concede. You just concede a goal.
You passive aggressively both goes, and then concede. You're like, well, that was not my fault.
You should have said I got it.
Or if it's the kickoff in threes where there's 2 players diagonal and the guy at the back says take the shot, then no one actually goes to spike that guy because you're like, you're an idiot. Why would you take the shot?
To be
when you're
fair,
at the back?
He deserves it.
Yeah, you're just like, well, now no. If anyone ever does
understood.
that to me, I'm like half flipping onto the boost. I'm just like, I'm not going.
Yeah, how about you save it? Like,
Fruity got mad at me one day for thinking that left goes instead of random person who has priority goes, and he's just like, Yummy, why are you going for kickoff? That's stupid. You know Dad, right? And I was like, all right, thank you.
You're not Dad, right?
Fruity,
You know Dad.
You know Dad, right?
One thing I was trying to test like last season was just no one go for the kickoff, which is like sounds so weird.
No, it's good.
How is anyone with 36 boosts gonna score on a pro 3-man defense? Like it's not gonna happen.
I kind of thought about that too.
Diagonal only, it's actually good. If somebody spawns like to go for the kickoff with a bigger run up, it can be dangerous, like straight or slightly offset. But if everybody's diagonal, it's good. It's actually good to not go. Trust me.
Yeah, that makes sense. At the
People
same
can
time,
boom the ball pretty hard if they get a big run up, but diagonal you can't.
You are assuming they boom it at you though. What if they realize? Then
they just stop in front of it.
Have you seen that the not even going for the kickoff in 1v1 now is viable? If it's diagonal spawn, you just don't go. You half flip onto the boost, turn back to your net immediately. So you have to half flip the right way, and you can cover any shot no matter what. And usually players won't shoot; they'll try and dribble. And the play there is to ball chase, just charge, because it's really hard actually. It's difficult to immediately get a shot off that beats somebody who just bum rushes you.
I think as like a team of 3, if nobody's going for kickoff, like if it's 2 diagonal, 1 in the middle, like both can get boost, and then like you go for kickoff, but just go late. So it's gonna force the guy to do something
That
anyway.
guy just kind of parks and like plays cheat and waits to see if they stop.
Or just dies
Yeah.
a bit late.
You know, actually, the guy who, instead of going, like if you're you spawn diagonal, instead of going, you half flip, and then you turn to your net, and if they shoot, that is that guy's job to save it, and then the other players just go and rotate. But if they don't shoot, if they dribble, somebody else can just challenge, and you're good.
I
I
guess
want
it
to see it.
goes.
It would actually be so interesting to see, because I feel like you get an advantage. The other
It
team just have one
definitely-
guy in the middle of the pitch with no boost and no momentum. Like, what's he doing?
It's interesting for sure. I guess it's very counterintuitive. Obviously, one, because you always go for kickoff, but two, like, who likes to give all these talented players space with the ball? It feels wrong on the surface, but I mean, there are points in Rocket League where it's okay to concede that space and like try to play something alternative. The best way to play is to be confusing. So
They'll have no boost as well. If diagonal
Yeah,
kickoff,
yeah,
people
you
use
know their
all boost to the
limitations.
ball.
that's true.
They have
That's true.
nothing.
Yeah.
There's zero boost on the ball. It's like they're not doing anything.
One goes
I feel like
backward,
describe
one
that.
goes net, one challenges, they're never going to score.
Yeah, you're good.
Whatever.
And you can like the challenge can usually be a really good challenge.
I like how we're talking about new kickoff strategies, and we're just like, so what if nobody goes?
no.
That's the
I
new
don't think
It
it's
can't
viable.
strat.
exist anymore, guys.
Rise, do it. Do it in EU this weekend. Just double diagonal
Well,
spawn,
maybe,
double half
maybe.
flip.
Wow.
I
No,
just
but
think
it's
Do it when
good.
you're 4
Didn't do
up.
something
What do you got?
that.
Like 4 days? Yeah, you got like 4 days to
Yeah.
practice it. No biggie.
Work
You got
it,
that.
like, on the drawing board. Try
Yeah. Get those reps in.
To be fair, I think there's two problems because one of them is that I think there's a lot of players out there who just don't have kickoff mechanics. It's actually insane.
No, they don't.
And they don't know how to win or lose a kickoff to the right
Mhm.
spot. And then there's also the fact that you guys know all the strategies. You guys have a whole bunch of slew of them, but you just never call it out. It's just the same.
Don't
thing.
bother. Yeah.
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 That's the one though. No, but nobody goes. The
Yeah.
double-
So
the
besides
diagonal thing.
besides
The
not
play
going, is there
strategy.
any other viable strategy you can even think of?
The
But
double
I'm not
kickoff
going to
is
give away the
underutilized.
strat. What, Spanish? Spanish you got.
Yeah, it's underutilized
Yeah.
for sure.
Mm.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's powerful,
100%.
but nobody.
So
it's
you
very
think
rare.
you think those types of kickoffs should be done like every play, sort of thing?
Uh,
Like
if
every
it-
play should be a nobody
Should be
goes
really
Spanish or
unpredictable,
fake.
right?
Yeah.
I can. So my theory about threes kickoffs is that they're just not explored very much. And
Yeah, exactly.
watching ones kickoffs are extremely high level right now. I've never seen as much diversity and like thinking. And right now in ones, the best players will never do the same kickoff twice in a row unless that is the mind game. The fact that they're doing the same kickoff twice is the trick, you know,
Mhm.
because everybody's switching it up so much and everybody's got so many different versions that I feel like that's where threes should be heading. It's the same kickoff shouldn't be happening twice, or it shouldn't be like back left and now back right. It should be like really switching it up, throw the other team off their game, because it works in ones. Like if you just do a weird kickoff and then right after you just go for a win, they're still thinking about, okay, what weird kickoff is he gonna do? Then you just win it and the ball's in your net.
Yeah, but also
like
I feel like
work.
there's so much weight on a 1v1 kickoff compared to a 3v3.
There's also a lot more of them. In a ones game, it's
Yeah.
like high level ones is like
You can get
Yeah,
like
but
10.
there's
it's like
also-
9-8.
There's also
Yeah.
like 6.5 million reasons to actually put a little bit of effort into threes to get that
Oh,
extra
100%,
Six point
6.5
five.
compared to
Uh-huh.
one.
Yeah, I'm not saying a little bit of effort isn't worth it, but doing a slight angle on your kickoff or something. Yeah, I don't know really the difference in the ones kickoffs, but you know.
I feel like
I
right
I don't
now
know. What,
the whole
surely you get more from putting 50 hours into kickoffs than putting 50 hours into something you do all the time, like practicing, I don't know, flip reset that you've already done and you're already good at.
I feel like right now everybody
Probably
thinks
right with
of any sort of kickoff that's not standard as like super special trickery,
Mm.
when really it should all just be standard. Like everything should, like Johnny's saying, it should all be mixed up. You know,
It
shouldn't
all
be
is just standard. Yeah.
exactly. It shouldn't just be one single default left goes every time. At least at the professional level, I feel like there's just no sense in doing the exact same thing every single time. It's the only set piece in Rocket League, right? Like, it just feels. I mean, like you said, very
How messed
underdeveloped.
up does it? So obviously it can have good effects on the pitch. Like you can get a possession. That's obvious.
Mhm.
But how much does it mess with like your mental? Like Rise, Shock, Rizzo, when like another team just does that, and then you're like when that happens, like does it not just mess with teams? 'Cause I feel like teams make more mistakes after something weird happens in the pitch. Either
What,
like a mind
You're
game.
saying
or
like what?
anything.
How does it feel like when you get like Spanish kickoff or something
Yeah,
like that?
or like a fake kickoff or anything weird. Like, is it just harder to play against that than the team who do the same kickoff every time?
I mean, there's not any teams that like switch it up on a regular basis. So it's like at this point, it's sort of if you've just scored with 5 seconds left, you just go watch Spanish, like stuff like that, because you like expect people are going to try something different.
Exactly.
At least we do that.
I'd
There was,
argue. Sorry, go ahead.
On this weekend, actually, Team Power, the X Ground Zero roster, in their series against Renegades, which they won, ended up doing more fake kickoffs than regular kickoffs, and they had a lot. Like they
Really?
are the team in OC that
love it.
actually, or maybe even the world, that actually put a lot of effort into their kickoffs,
Didn't
and they
Furia
pretty
do
much
that?
won every single kickoff as well.
I'm pretty sure Furia were doing a lot of fakes at Major as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
And according
AJG
to
said,
AJG, they lost
Yeah.
their series to A Crew for.
Oh, I was watching that. I remember
Yeah,
exactly the goal
kickoff.
he's talking about. Yeah.
yeah, they
Yeah.
scored a kickoff strategy and then we lost the series. That's what he said.
That is brutal. I mean, in terms of like your question, Johnny, about how like the mentality can change, if your team like is completely locked in, it's not going to matter. But I'd say in general, just like getting scored on by kickoff goals feels very fluky and can be like an irritant. Like,
Oh, it's so telling. It's so telling.
that's like
That's a really powerful thing then. That
Yeah,
extremely,
should be doing it
because
for that reason.
You work for
And-
4
Say,
minutes
like-
to get a goal and then immediately
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
gone back.
Exactly.
we just pressured them for 2.5 minutes,
Yeah.
took their corner boost 18 different times, had to put 7 different top corner shots on net to score, and you get kickoff,
They
and
cheesed
it's
it,
immediately your
yeah.
net.
And then
you're- well,
and now every other kickoff that you're facing going forward, like that thought is in your mind. Is it going to
Yep.
be standard? Is it going to be something else? Whenever I was coaching, I coached a couple bubble teams for a while. Kickoffs was like the biggest thing that I was pushing, and there is pushback from players. I don't know if they think it's cringe or what, but it's like they just don't wanna do
Probably.
it. They didn't want to try new things. They
I
really
would.
didn't.
I'd be
No,
like,
it-
nah,
it
it's
is-
cringe,
it is
Josh.
cringe.
low-key-
Dude,
low-key
No, it is.
cringe,
I-
yeah.
It's
Look, I'm
cringe.
not
It's
even
in the-
joking. I had a spreadsheet built where like each player, I had percentages of like where they would put the ball on the field.
Oh my
from each
God.
kickoff.
That's
Yeah.
actually awesome.
Because I just think
Cool.
that there's one aspect of Rocket League that's like totally determined and we know where we are and we can like manipulate it, and it's kickoff, right? Everything else is fluid and changing and it's never the same, and you just don't know the boost counts exactly or where the ball's going or whatever.
Mhm.
But kickoffs are a set piece, and I feel like it's just so I don't understand why it has been ignored forever.
Underdeveloped.
It's 'cause
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
like you said, it's cringe. It's
Yeah,
cringe.
exactly. It's cringe. That's right. That's try
Ah,
hard.
You're
Players
sweating.
don't want to
Try
be cringe. Yeah, you're sweating. What is he
Well, people used
sweating in
to-
RLC?
why are they
It's a
trying
private
to-
match, bro. Chill.
Reciprocity used to literally win series of it because they were just so defensive that they would just defend everything, and then they'd randomly get a kickoff goal because they were good at kickoffs, and that's like the most frustrating. Everybody hated them because you lost to kickoffs half the time.
I think we mentioned it on another podcast that if the kickoffs are like predetermined, like right now it's random, but what if the first kickoff in every single 3v3 game, no matter what, is the same? It's just like
Yeah.
the same positions. And then the second
Like a
kickoff is also
rotation?
always the same. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
the same. Right now
Mhm.
there's 5 kickoffs that happen every single game, but which ones they are random. And the spawn positions after you get demoed also random. It's the only randomness in
Uh-huh.
the game is like what the kickoffs are going to be. You don't know what kickoff number 4 is going to be until 3 goals happen, and then you find out on the spot. That's when you find out. But if you knew beforehand, like then you could come up with strats
Yeah.
for every kickoff.
Interesting. Or I guess if maps had dedicated kickoffs, like one is always
Oh,
this
yeah,
on this
yeah.
map.
Could be map specific. Oh yeah, this is the map that has 5th kickoff is everybody spawns in the middle, so you know what it's going to be. I think that would be pretty sick. I would love it.
I have to address something in chat as well. Somebody said, "Why does somebody say kickoffs are the only set piece when controlling the ball on your back wall is a set piece?" That's just so not true. There's like totally different locations of players on the pitch, boost
Yeah.
amounts, like where your opponents are. It is a set piece because the pieces are set on a
Yeah,
kickoff.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
Cringe.
Yeah, it's just frankly cringe.
Yeah, don't be
Come on.
cringe. Don't be cringe.
Yeah.
If I see any players being cringe in the next few weeks doing kickoff strats, then
Yuck.
gross.
Massive
Yeah,
chat.
I know where it started then.
I can't wait for Rise to do it, and then the caster's confused.
Look,
They're like,
man,
wait, they
might
messed
have
up,
to.
and I'm like, no, they didn't.
No, but people like cats would actually do that. Cats are actually like, "Oh, that's a mistouch" when you're just faking and stuff like that. That's what we were talking about before, like actual fakes, though, not plat fakes.
Do you prefer?
Flat fakes,
Okay,
yeah.
what's worse, when a caster calls a mistouch when it was like purposeful, or when they call it a fake when it was just clearly a massive whiff.
Oh, like if they say it's a fake when it's a whiff, like that's just making me look good, you know. But when I miss, when I like fake and I like they say I missed, like nah, that can't be. You can't be doing that.
It's okay when they make me look good, but when they make me look bad, it's
of
cringe.
Of course.
Yeah, the first one is worse. Like you like there's so many little intricacies to everyone's positioning to where like any touch that looks conventionally bad but might be very good in a certain situation can be labeled a mistouch in the moment, because it is hard to tell if you're not the one playing in the comms.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, so that one does kind of suck, because like it makes you look bad while you're on the ball. Like you just got this little tap down to your right that would conventionally be bad, but you have a teammate calling for you to drop it and he's right underneath you. Like, and he's like, oh, he got bailed out by his teammate. He's right there. No, we set that up with comms.
Oh, but luckily his teammate was right there to take
Yeah,
over.
exactly.
Oh, no.
Exactly, yeah.
This garbage player gets bailed out by his teammate again.
And they say lucky once on broadcast, and then the chatters, oh, so lucky, this team's so lucky.
Yeah.
No, it's actually crazy how much influence casters have over opinions. Like I was talking to someone about this.
Well, how important is that to you to have like both caster and audience opinion on whether you're good or not in a series?
As long as we win, I honestly don't mind. I don't care if people say he was terrible. This is right. Okay, we won.
So just
But like, I
don't
feel like,
lose and get called bad at the same
What's
time.
an example that you were talking about, Rise?
of what?
Of a big influence.
Like you'll just see people with terrible takes, and you're just like, this guy's been watching T-Bates. This guy's been watching. No, but you know, I feel like every person who watches RLCS is just like a mixture of like a bit of Johnny Boy's opinion, a bit of Achieve's opinion. Like no one actually has their sort of own opinion. It feels like.
Oh yeah, they'll 100% just like kind of latch on to their favorite sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna say this is probably better that way, because if you let them run loose, there's no telling what they're gonna
Yes and no. 'Cause I guess like to your initial question, like in the moment to a player, it does not matter what chat thinks, what the caster thinks of them. Like, but after, I guess you got to think of the repercussions. Like, you know, like down the road, like if this narrative continues to be like, you know, pushed, like what someone thinks. Say, you know, Roldis is influential, right? T-Bates is influential. First touch in general, right? Say, you know, this player is like really look to be struggling. Like, you know, they don't really get some weird touches, some misses, and like, but that was all in like the motions of the game where like that was meant to happen. They weren't mistakes. They were actually the plays that they were looking for. And then all of a sudden everyone starts saying, well, this player looks really weak on Reddit. And like, you know, maybe they should be the next one to be kicked. Maybe this roster move XYZ. And, you know, that can get in a player's head down the road. Like everyone just thinks I suck. Like this is so annoying. Or it can put that seed into their teammate's head that maybe my teammate isn't as good as I think they are. Maybe they're problematic. So like, that's more of a hypothetical. Like, I'm not saying that would for sure happen, but like, that's like something like that I could see happening. Like I saw it in season 9. Sathu got so much hate on our team, even though he was an extremely important piece to us winning, but it just didn't look like that to them. Like, cause you know, it just looked like he was the one making the most mistakes when like, it could have been us putting him in bad spots, which sometimes it was. And like, you know, that kind of thing can be pushed, and it can be hard in a team's mentality, although it shouldn't necessarily take precedence.
I know no one
shouldn't, but
actually
it's hard as a
tries.
human.
Yeah, no,
Yep.
I know no one actually has an agenda that I know of to like do or you know try and push a storyline, like well that specific, for one thing, but definitely that negative. But I don't like when it seems like speculative. Somebody will just be like, oh, this player brings so much to the team in terms of leadership. I'm like, does he? You know, how do you know? Like, I don't know that. Does this person know that? I don't know. I'm always like trying to avoid speculation. I've got to put Rise on the spot because we were talking before the stream as well. It was actually before the stream is a whole other podcast by mistake.
Yeah.
And it was, it was
Yeah.
great content. It's in there like 10 minutes before
We're
it went
we're
live.
looping back around now.
Yeah.
So we got to go back to it because it was actually good content. So Rise was saying that he doesn't like when casters are waffling, and I think that hearing Rise rant about that would be great content.
Oh, here we go. Well, it depends. Like because obviously, or we just touched on it there a little bit. The casters, a lot of the times, don't actually know what they're saying. And my point was, well, not fully anyway, but my point is, I've since watched stuff for example, football, like actual real life sports, and I can like pick up on bits where they're just filling gaps and they actually have no idea what they're saying, or what they're saying is just wrong. And it like, I don't know, it's opened my eyes to a lot of cap in like the media.
A lot of cap.
Like, no, but you know what I mean. Like the
I
commentators,
do.
like,
I
they
do.
just waffle sometimes,
Cap
and it's the
news.
same in rugby league. It's the same in everything. It's their job at the end of the day, right? So
I think you're onto something though. Like, I don't think so. Like some people, the immediate retort will be, "It's not the caster's job to appeal to pro players." And some people even go as far as say pro players shouldn't be expected to like casters what they say, because they're like for the casuals and the fans, not for the players. I don't really agree with that though. I think that's copium for bad casting. I think that players shouldn't be annoyed. I feel like players know more about the game than anyone almost. So if they're annoyed by casting, there's probably something wrong. I feel like you can do well. I don't know. I feel like it's possible to do a good job casting to appeal to, or at least be a good caster for casuals, fans, and also not annoy players. I feel like that's possible to do that.
Yeah, I feel like
Okay.
as long as the statement is like accurate, whatever it is, as long as it's like accurate and annoys somebody or a player, that's fine. Like, they kind of got butthurt at that. But if it's like a lie or whatever, it's not true, and it's like it kind of creates a narrative that shouldn't be there, then it would be like bad casting or analysis or whatever.
I think there's always a big problem with casters too, especially newer casters, of like wanting to sound smart or correct so much that they end up being like incorrect and they end up waffling a lot. Because I used to be a very analytical caster, but nowadays I take a lot of knowledge off, and it's more about like living in the moment, being hype, and like worrying more about the emotion rather than what I say. And I'm okay with that. Every now and again I'll say something that's at least not smart, if not outright dumb.
I think casters, like, what a lot of them fail to realize is like your job isn't to shine, it's to make the game shine. Like, it's not about you, it's about you like making the game look better instead of trying to make yourself look all smart.
It's also understandable for those casters too, because you want to stand out and like get an
Oh, yeah.
RCS gig or something like that at the time, or you want to even just not be shit on by the audience over and over again on Reddit saying how all you do is yell all the time. And now Jorby's like the most liked, but he didn't do it by like trying to appeal to the audience every 10 seconds. He just got better.
Yeah.
There used to be so many, like, see, before RLCS Season X, there were so many comments in every live thread about casting and people like having problems with it. But these days, there's like 0 comments, none.
Yeah.
And like some people might be like, "Oh no, we're making a big mistake here. Nobody's like, we must be doing badly. Nobody's talking about us." But that's like goals for me when I'm casting. If everybody's like so immersed in the game that they didn't even realize like everything that you said is just blended in perfectly with the game, and you've not like ruined anyone's vibe, that's like that's peak. That's the goal.
Yeah.
It's like watching a Rizzo watch party, you don't even, he's just blending in so well with everything that's happening.
You think I'm the 4th player under the webcam?
Exactly, yeah. Wow, that was amazing. I forgot everything Rizzo said. He was perfect. That's actually perfect casting for me. If somebody asked me, what do the casters say? I'm like, I haven't got a clue. Like,
Tony, who's your favorite person to cast with when you cast?
for me,
Very good.
oh, Shogun, definitely, because we've got so much synergy, and he's just really fun to work with because he's like a team player. So we're both trying to like make each other better rather than trying to steal the mic from each other in hype moments, because that's cringe. When I hear casters doing that, trying to like, they're like, "Oh, the end of the game, the champion is coming. I want to be the one yelling that," and they try and like steal each other's spotlight. It's just
I was gonna say with what Rise said about like how you're trying to make the game shine instead of yourself. I think of like Johnny yelling Ahmad during the what is it?
That's analysis.
That's iconic.
That's
The
great
first
analysis,
major.
man.
Like that's instantly what I think about. How like it's a great yell. It's a great screech, Johnny. But it really highlights the emotion of the moment. And same with like This Is Rock League, obviously, like the most iconic one. Like that sort of thing is so
the
huge
best
for
part about
them.
the Ahmad one is it was going to overtime, and we were like ready for overtime. I was like thinking, okay, overtime's coming. Let me just talk about that, and then Shogun will come in. But then like Ahmad just came out of nowhere and scored it. I was like, no build up at all.
you were just so
What else-
excited, you just yelled.
What else are you supposed to do? I just had to yell his name. There's nothing else to say. Like I can't be like, there's no time to say anything else. So
Well, at least you didn't say, "Are you kidding me?" That's all I can thank you for, Johnny.
I
That
would
was-
like to say though that like it is really easy to criticize like casting and like be very very harsh on it, but like I feel like in general like Rocket League casting has improved at a very rapid rate.
Oh,
And-
definitely.
And like I said, like I was saying this earlier before the stream went live, like I usually when I'm watching the RLCS stream, I like have it muted because like there's nothing I can really learn, or like I'm like not ultra interested in what the casters are saying. I'm just looking for like the result and how teams are playing. But like there's genuine times where what a caster says, I'm like, oh yeah, that was really accurate. That was good. And I feel like we've gotten a lot more of that and a lot less of the what is this dude saying? Like why is he casting? So like I really like the direction that all the casters have gone. I feel like everyone has improved very significantly in the last few years.
I
a
also
good team.
think yeah, the team's great. I think there was a shift in like the seriousness of the cast from like early seasons. Like I mean, just the first season, season 1, they really tried to be just like real sports. Like that was their focus. Let's make it like a real sport. And I don't even know if you remember, but they had a completely different guy like hosting it. I went back and watched it and I was like, who?
Axel Tuss, yeah.
No.
Oh,
A different guy.
Very first.
Yeah, and I was like, who
Oh.
is this guy? Like I still don't know. And he was like a very like proper
yeah, it was very different.
yeah. And the whole vibe was different. And now it's like all community figures, all community people, which is really awesome.
That's
I
what
will
they
say
haven't-
there's also been a huge shift in the NA and EU team. As a guy who comes in every now and again and joins that, like from RLCS season 5, 6, every single person in the casting for NA and EU and for NA and EU
It was
was
Shogun.
super. It was like competitive. It was like I'm fighting with my casters for everything. We've got a limited number of slots. There's only 12 casters. I'm here for me. There's no collaboration compared to now in RLCS and RLCS 21, 22 is that it is so collaborative. Like everybody feels like a team. There is no competition. It feels like for anything. I'll sit down with like the casting crew for APAC. It was Cole and Stumpy came and sat down with me and just asked me like tons of questions on APAC. Because they wanted to cast the last series of Tokyo Verde, and we just sat down there and did it, and that was kind of everything that LAN was, and it makes it so much better. If you're trying to make your fellow caster or fellow analyst better, if you're trying to set them up for a good joke or something like that, it works way better than somebody trying to create their own joke out of nothing.
Yeah.
That's desk as well, though. See, the desk is like peaked this split. Because there's so many like clashing personalities and it's all authentic. All these disagreements and arguments on air are real. But as soon as the camera cuts to whatever happens next, everybody's just laughing. Like after like a really funny content piece where everybody's arguing and the chat are probably like, wow, they hate each other. They actually, a lot of people like genuinely think like Stumpy and T-Bates hate each other, me and T-Bates hate each other, like, Yummy and CJ hate each other. But after these bits, it's just like so funny. We're like, actually, that was fire. That was really good.
Yeah, there's also there's
yeah.
a big shift in just the content as well, like that SoundX is wanting to make. Like you would never see the job's not finished type thing from NRG, and like obviously season 1 they wouldn't be able to do that in season 1, but like anything of that sort of style.
The one you were in as well was so funny.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
those,
like,
those
even
two
that stuff
content
as well.
pieces,
So funny.
those were so good. Those were so good.
They actually had real comedy. Who actually came up with like the script for that, Rizzo?
There was no script. That was all on the spot.
Hey, that's
like,
impressive.
and then
That's
it was
very
just the
impressive.
idea, and then we were like, should we do this, and they're like, yeah, let's whatever. Like we all just
Like
it was like 5 people
That was-
or 6 people.
all the videos had like amazing levels of comedy chops that I expected from like a Beyond the Summit thing, and it was out
Yes.
of nowhere. It was sick.
Yeah, it was like Beyond the Summit kind of vibes.
Yeah.
Production.
I thought the evolution of crowds video that Stumpy and them did was really, really good too.
Yeah.
Oh, they put so much work into those. They put a ton of hours into those.
Super high quality.
It's really good.
Yeah, all the content's been insane, especially for the major. Like the
Yeah.
content was so good.
And
I think
the desk outdoors.
Yeah,
That one
Awesome,
space.
awesome.
Oh my God,
So
so
cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
It
When
made it
I'm
look
sitting there waiting outside the
leg-
gate and I hear teammates erupt. I was just cracking up. I'm almost in tears laughing so hard. I'm like, oh, this is going to be so much fun.
it made it seem legit, you know, like it wasn't just any old average esports broadcast that are all exactly the same. It made it like seem like it was its own thing and a big thing that was worth watching for me.
Was that on here that we were talking about that last time, Rizzo? Was it T-Bates was on here, or am I thinking of something
Yeah,
else?
T-Bates was on here last time.
Yeah, well, I remember talking about that last time, and I think it was his idea. So shout out T-Bates for that.
The outdoor thing?
Yeah, that was his idea apparently.
Yeah, I think he did.
Or at
bring
least
it
he said so.
I
Shout out
do
to
think
you.
the
Claim that one.
Sweden major was the split between actually like having comedy chops and stuff like that on the analyst desk, and because at the very start of the Sweden major, analysts were just like everybody was either like would do both casting and analysis, and there's some people who don't want to be on the analyst desk or don't think they're good at it or anything like that, and there's other people who are, and it was such a well received production that we had like funniest moments of LAN video, and half of it was bits by the analysts just saying stupid stuff on the analyst desk. And I think that really helped carry that kind of comedy forward as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
props to Psyonix. They really
Yeah.
go for it with all this stuff. They put a lot of like faith in the the production team and the casters and the players, anyone who's going on. They're just like, yeah, they trust everybody to do a good job. So half of that stuff wouldn't happen if they were like a lot more safe and like, nah, we just want to make a risk-free broadcast. It would just be so boring. So it's really props to them.
The Gregan on the Saturday and Sunday of the spring major, Gregan coming in as a coach, like during timeouts, that was purely the talent asking for something like that. And in the past, I think Psyonix would have just said no, but now they really trust the casters to know what would work really well. And so that was, not only did they like ask for certain things, but the casters even push back on other elements of it to make it fully caster led. So the casters are often doing a lot towards a good part of the production because they know what's going to look good.
I feel like the model for like good content as well as good gameplay is CS:GO. I think their like content between series is so good. I think it's levels above everything else. Like when they got players like making their dream teams like between series, stuff like that. Like I think it's so like it keeps like I want to watch between series on CS:GO as well as a series. So
Right,
I think that's
probably
what
let
it should
fans
be.
and viewers get more invested in those individual players and those teams as well, because you get a little bit more of their personality. rather than
Personality,
just...
yeah.
Absolutely.
I'll say,
Which is part of the reason F1, I don't know if any of you watch F1, but Drive to Survive has like popped off in America and now it's got like a massive American fan base now.
Yeah, we need Fly to Survive, the Rocket League documentary, RLCS documentary.
You go in like
I would go
you get
crazy,
Scheisting calls before RLCS, like listening in.
Yeah, oh my goodness. That would actually be hype. We need somebody to do
Didn't
that.
Psyonix
Sunless
do a like documentary recently, and it was called something similar to Drive to Survive? Because I know the RL Esports team are big into Drive to Survive and F1, as well as pretty much all the casters are as well. So I know they are inspired to do stuff like that.
That'd be Pog. Well, that's how a little bit of this stuff happened with like Dignitas and NRG, right? They had documentaries. I don't know, was there one from the Winter Major? I forgot.
I feel like there was something
happened. I
that
feel like
was
there
like
was.
named very similar, and it was a bit of a documentary style for like maybe Beyond the Pitch. It was called for like the
were those recent?
They were for the major. They did like behind the scenes stuff for
okay.
NRG and Dignitas and stuff.
Oh, I think I remember that. There was also one that FaZe made on their own, which I watched. It was like 7 minutes, but it was really good. It was like really well produced, and I don't think a lot of people saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
It's good. Worth watching.
By the way, Psyonix Ian is in chat. Yeah, you guys do a great job. Please don't fire any of us.
I take back everything I said.
We saw him in here, so we had to give a few compliments before we get into our next topic here.
Oh boy, what's the next topic?
Oh no, nothing like that. I was just
No,
before we
okay.
before we move on to
I
the
was like,
to the
oh, no.
real show.
The next segment. Why Psyonix is a terrible company.
That sounded so much worse than it was intended.
Yeah.
I
Now the
hate
next
Ian
topic:
because I
where is
suggested-
Unreal Engine 5? Somebody
I
please
suggested
tell
to
me.
Ian that you have all the players parachute into the SoFi Stadium or whatever it's called
Yeah,
at the
why did that
beginning
not
of the
happen?
show, and he turned it down.
I think we did
Unbelievable.
that, but the
Ian,
cameras
cheers.
weren't on. But we
Cheers
did
to
that.
Ian.
Oh man, now I'm gonna use the water.
It's too early to drink.
But for
Ian's
real,
just a big whiskey fan. Anyway.
next topic is just basically NA regional. There was a lot of stuff that went down. I have like also we'll get into like the EU coming up as well, but NA obviously already happened, so we'll talk about that first. First thing, as we have Shock here as well. To me, I was surprised at your placement. I thought you guys did fantastic. 4th place finish.
Thank you.
Has got to feel really good, but I wonder if was that expected? Did you feel that confident with Hawkster to get a 4th place?
Yeah, no doubt. So kind of like the timeline. This is very interesting. I guess some inside info. We basically got Hawkster handed to us. Like Xset literally said, take him. Like they wanted nothing to do with him. And we were very surprised because we were in a rough spot. Obviously knows we had a very rough winter split, and we were just looking to just regain in any way, make some sort of semblance of a good split for spring. And we didn't expect to be able to get a player of the caliber of Hoxer. But like I said, Xset basically, they didn't agree on who should be playing what position on the field. Hoxer was playing a lot of third man on Xset, was being really made to sit on defense, and Hoxer does not like playing like that. And so they weren't really meshing. So they got someone else, and then, Hoxer, we tried out with him, and we were crushing every scrim right off the go. We played 2 off-season tournaments that went extremely well. I forget the name of the first one, but we ended up we're in the finals of that.
I think the teams that were in it matter the most.
Yeah. Like, so we were beating all of the teams that reside in like that 6 to 10 range in North America. And we felt very confident off that, obviously. But yeah, obviously RLCS is much different than some sort of trade window tournament. Like, the pressure is not quite there. It's not the same. So, but we kind of figured out that in Rocket League, it's better to have delusional confidence than no confidence at all. You got to be delusionally confident. Any team you play, these guys are terrible. We're much better than them. It doesn't matter who they are. And
Wait,
you just have to think that way.
this sounds like Rise. And,
Bro, you just call everyone shit and then they're shit. Like,
Yeah,
how you
no,
think.
it's genuinely correct. Like you respect them XYZ out of the game. On the field, they're shit compared to you. Like that's just how you have to think. Yeah, exactly. So you just come in with that kind of confidence.
Hold
so,
on,
yeah.
why don't that work in my ranked lobbies?
But yeah, Hoxer and I have always meshed really well together. Experience playing before. Our styles just work. And Lion has really improved a lot this season. He's really coming into his own. So yeah, we expected to place around top 6 and then having an extra series past that. Definitely a bonus.
But the bracket you ran into Energy, you knew that was going to happen. Well,
we knew our bracket.
That was their first match.
Yeah, first match, and then you saw V1. But what was your expectations with those 2 matches?
To win.
Both. Wow.
No,
because you guys are just like
it's
so
the
confident
confidence thing.
obviously they're trash. I mean, you just said it. But,
part of it's delusional confidence. The other part of it is we're very confident against their styles of play.
Are they washed though? Are Energy and V1 washed?
No.
And
Energy obviously had like a lackluster performance, but by no means are they as individual players washed at all. I expect them to regain, definitely. Like I don't think they'll have another 9th through 12th.
Do you think they'll make major?
It's really tough. I think they definitely have a good shot, but 9th through 12th is hard to overcome. It's happened in a few previous splits, but yeah, I mean, I think they can for sure. And then V1 are not washed either. Those are good. Those are very good players too, and they weren't playing their best. I wouldn't say they were playing terrible, but not their best. But also, like I said, like I think our style of play matches up very well with them.
I also want to ask. You said that Lion Blaze has improved a lot. Like, in what ways has Lion Blaze improved, and how?
Well, I guess on the same topic, like his confidence in himself and his ability to outplay people, his confidence has skyrocketed. Also, his aggressiveness. Lion comes from a ones background, a defense heavy ones background, and
Probably the most defensive player I've
Right.
ever seen. So much so that I don't know how it worked. He was so defensive. I'm like, how is this
exactly.
working?
How is he saving that, pitching it out of his
Yeah,
net? Like,
What? Why? Okay, but he's good at it, so well done.
yeah. But he, along with the confidence, like we have a style where we're not trying to be on defense, and we don't want to be relying on those kind of saves. He's ultra aggressive on the ball. Off the ball, he definitely kind of fits more into like a third man role for us. But like it's because we try to give him space to work, and like he is very talented on the ball, and he's become a lot more confident in his ability against every player in the region to like be able to outplay them. So
I'm so happy seeing the Lion Blaze succeed. I always knew he had
Yeah.
it in him. Always knew.
always the potential, of course.
Yeah.
So before you went into your matchup against like NRG, I just know from like before, like usually you can get like you can kind of gauge other teams with how they're performing in scrims. Like obviously scrims don't mean everything. Like there's always the one-off result or whatever.
Right.
But did you know or see like NRG like struggling in scrims, and you were like, oh, this is like us 100%, or was it fully blind confidence? Like, yeah, who cares? Like, there's shit.
We scrimmed them the week before, and we lost that scrim.
Oh, so
Yeah,
oh yeah, it makes sense. You wouldn't scrim them the week you're playing them. That makes sense.
Yeah, no, we scrimmed them. Well, I guess it was the week before, the very start of that same week. It was one of the two, but not right next.
Were they bumping you a lot?
Yes,
Were they chasing?
yes. We were getting bumped a lot. They were practicing a style of bumping I really didn't understand. It's very like it was different than how other teams bump, at least in my experience. Like they had one guy chasing you outside of the rotation, while the other two tried to play defense and then start a counterattack. And it wasn't how other teams normally bump. Usually it's within the rotation, or it's when they have all the offensive pressure and the boost. That's when they'll break rotation. But it's like when we had possession in their half, would that have someone go take our corner and then chase us? And we were sitting there like, wow, that's kind of hard to play against. But we're like, well, I guess we'll be ready for that, but I'm not sure they'll do it.
Yeah.
It's
Did you
hard to
quit
do.
just-
Yeah, it's hard.
No.
Really hard to do it in the actual
No.
match.
Did you quick that though?
Well, that'd be me, bro. If someone's chasing me in my half there, you're getting spammed.
No, we've kind of embraced the bump meta. No, like we do not tilt at bumps. Like it's important not to. Like it's absolutely crucial to embrace the bump meta as not only part of the game but a necessity. It is defenses are too good, individuals are too good to not bump.
Like it.
Okay, so throughout this week, did you end up scrimming Envy at all? Because there was no chance of you running into them. I don't know about no chance.
We hadn't scrimmed them with Alu.
Do you guys
Do you
have
think
like
that was-
a team that you normally warm up against before tournaments? Like for us, we always warm up against Dig for tournaments. Do you have like a team like that?
We don't
Or you
have
just-
a specific team, but we have a list of teams that we like to warm up against if they try to push our pace. Like they put like Oxygen's a great
Yeah.
warm up team. Sonics like to try to dunk you a lot and like play fast. They're a good warm up team. Yeah, we like teams that try to force you to play fast so you get your mechanics up to speed for the day.
Did you think Envy's 6th place was likely? Is that an expected finish or a better finish?
I thought I think 6th was a bit better than I expected, but I wouldn't say like terribly unprecedented. I think Alu is still very, very capable. He's a really good player, and obviously missed injuries.
I think that was a shock to me. Like I did predictions before, and I had them going like 9th, 12th, like that place. So like 2 rounds off, because I just like the main thing is I haven't seen him play in 3 months. Like I don't know. Like where am I gonna see him play?
Do you think?
Go ahead.
I was gonna ask, do you think Turbo will come back to EU now, or do you think he'll try and get another roster?
I have no read on that. I have no clue. I don't know what he wants, or I won't even try to pretend to know. I think Turbo can still play though. Like I think he's still good enough too.
Well, last time this happened to him when he got when I think with Dignitas, it was Turbo, Yukio, Panda, and if I'm not mistaken, I think Turbo was told Dig, well, it's me or it's one of us is leaving, so pick one, and they were like, okay, you're benched then. So he was off the team, and then a lot of people were counting him out, but then he like dominated with classics and corrupted G.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The River
The River
Rats.
Rats.
He knocked NRG out of a tournament, and they were like, "Wait a minute!" Or did they? If they didn't knock him out, I think they beat them. And then they were like, "Hold on, maybe we need to actually take a serious look at this guy. He's not washed. Maybe this is gonna happen. He's gonna pick up like 2 random players, get them to RLCS, and every team will be like, "Wait, Turbo's insane. We need to sign this guy."
I feel like in terms of just viewer base as well, even amongst players viewing other players, a lot of people end up being undervalued. People are, the inner workings of a team dynamic and a play style. You can look at replays from the outside all you want, you'll never understand it fully. Like I guess for an example, like SSG was on our half and bumping us and killing us like all game, like in that series in the regional. We knew they'd do that, but and they're like, all right, this is how we're gonna counter it. XYZ. It didn't matter, right? Like it's that thing that makes it click. You can't define really when you're watching, and how players and what they do by themselves to make that click. Also, you can't just see by watching really. So, like I feel like a lot of people end up being undervalued for the things they do, and then there's also overvaluation in other areas. Obviously, mechanics, like in terms of like. People really like to see flashy stuff. They like to see the clip goals. That gets overvalued. Whereas, usually conventionally the dirty work on plays to open up that space to make that clip happen.
Yeah.
Get undervalued. Yeah, Rizzo, yeah.
Yeah. You tell him.
I just remember Jazza, we'd be like, what's Rizzo doing on this team? Well, you don't get any points for bumping.
He's right.
You tell him.
Who's the most underrated player then? Who's the most underrated player in NAEU world?
NAEU world. Who knows?
I can't really speak. I would only confidently speak on that for NA because it's the people I play all the time. Because I haven't really played EU or any of the other parts of the world, so it's hard to say. But in NA, I don't think I can name one particularly most undervalued player. But I would say that. Give me a second. I feel like you've got a player like, I might say Toasty. Toasty is extremely fast to the ball. He is like I think it's like he's an irritant like around the ball and off the ball. He opens up a lot of space, and his ability to just make your life difficult probably goes under the radar when you're watching, because LJ is going to get all the hype, deservedly so, but LJ is very talented. But like a lot of people don't see Toasty open up that space for him, or you don't see Toasty just chase someone around the midfield a little bit, so LJ gets that extra half second to set up an interval. Like it's so easy to miss, and
that's what you're talking about too, where those two have been teammates for a long time and they really gel and they get one another, and Toasty probably understands how he can enable LJ. And yeah, you're right. I think definitely underrated.
I think
how
Major
is it that rises that player online, and then at LAN he all of a sudden becomes LJ? Like come on.
Yeah.
I think I was gonna say at Major, I think the most underrated player was Kaio. I think Kaio was terrible underrated. Yeah. I think he was so underrated.
Underrated going in, but we all had him in our top 15.
The thing about we actually.
I still think people don't talk about him.
Yeah, you guys did. You guys.
You know why?
Yeah.
But do you know why though? It's because Jan is that flashy.
Exactly. He's the LJ, and then Kaio's the Toasty.
I feel like the average Rock League fan who isn't from SAM, like an EU or NA fan, they only have enough like brain power to compute Furia, and then that brain power is it's not wasted, but it's all used up on Jan because he's so, like flashy.
Johnny, you're
they don't
also
have anything
a
left.
caster. You know how it is, how MVPs just go to the people who score the most goals. So
true.
Jan is top 5 in the world, in my opinion. Jan is
crazy.
literally top 5 in the world.
He's crazy.
Jan is top 5. Wow.
That's my T-base opinion for the stream. Top
I
5.
like that. I like
Rise
that a
never
lot.
wrong.
T-Fate's opinion. Yeah, but it's not wrong, so.
Yeah, yeah.
I
If you
mean,
say it
yeah.
isn't wrong. Where did we? I'm gonna find out where everybody put him. Where did people put Jan? I put Kyle 13. Bates put him 14. Yummy put him 14. Roldes and CJ didn't put Kyle in their top 15.
Nice.
Actually, Bates said Jan 5, which is I
Base
forgot about that.
Base spitting
Yeah.
facts.
Dude,
Bates
When
said
I tell
5.
you, Jan was the hardest player we played against in the whole 2 weeks we were there, like he actually was. We scrimmed them once. I think we got 7-0'd the first time we played them. Then we played them in the actual tournament, and he was just shitting on us. Like he is literally like he was the best player we played at Major.
That's crazy. That's so cool to hear, though.
The
Bates
Rise
5.
Never Wrong reminded me. I tuned into the G2 broadcast and I caught the very end of one of their series, and then all I hear is teammates, like right when it unmutes, all I hear is teammates go, "Say it with me, chat."
Yeah, I saw that as well.
I saw that.
I saw that one as well. Wasn't that right after they like beat friends in game 5 or something?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
why
I
is he-
think so.
Why is he gloating about that?
They beat
They
friends.
just like they barely scraped to win against friends, and he's like popping off. I think he was just like
He was
so
just
happy that
going
he
nuts.
He was probably just so relieved that they didn't lose his first ever series that he watches him play.
Oh,
on the YouTube
yeah.
channel.
Because
I
you
did
know he
want
couldn't get that one
sorry, go
wrong. That'd be embarrassing.
I wanted to circle back for just a second, wrap up what I was saying, because I know I've kind of dominated speaking for a little while, so I'm sorry about that.
Oh
But,
no, it's good. You'd be the #1 person about this. I feel like just by
thank
you know
you.
the NA player here.
Exactly.
I like to start like Energy V1 like I guess like any team coming in with like delusional confidence is like I said earlier is what you need, and I'd definitely expect them to bounce back one. And honestly, V1 still got top 6, barely even need to bounce back. It's still, you know, a good performance. And 2, like, I would say, I guess for anyone in here who watches RLCS, try to take a second to appreciate those players that might end up being undervalued, because they end up making Rocket League fun to watch because they make those things that might be overvalued available to those players. So try to
They
appreciate
read all the
that.
comments as well.
So Shock's saying, basically to everyone watching, Shock is saying, appreciate him more. Appreciate
Not
Shock
me,
more.
not me,
Appreciate
not me,
Shock.
not me. Doesn't
Appreciate
matter what you
Rizzo
think
of
about
the
me.
world.
We all
Dirty
know
word.
Shock is the hard carry. So
Yeah, you guys deciphered me.
No, it's true. Those undervalued players are usually the ones who are getting the most hate. So,
yeah.
not that
Yep.
I would know or anything. Not that I would go to Reddit and look at a few things or anything.
You also had the
I'm sure
content
Fabio's
data
saying-
buff. So
Did
it's a
you
little-
go to
it would
Reddit?
help
Do you guys go to
too.
Reddit and you control F your username? You just go after.
I did
Yeah,
that. Yeah, I would
I've
do
done
that.
that once.
Rise is
So
garbage.
I do
Yeah,
that.
all F4. Goodbye. Not reading.
No, sometimes no. I saw in Twitch chat the other day from one of the series that we're playing, because I went to look at one of the games.
Oh no, not
And-
Twitch chat.
No, it's rough. I literally I had just previously bumped someone in a play and then called it a goal earlier in that game, and like then later we got scored on some defensive sequence that I'm not even sure was entirely my fault. And the first thing I see in Twitch chat, Shock is a crutch. it's like I swear we're doing well this regional. I could have sworn it, but no, the Twitch chat's ruthless. It
So is
might be
Twitch chat
worse
the
than that.
worst? Is that the one to absolutely not look at?
Yeah,
I think so.
100%.
They also
Yeah.
Twitch chat will immediately
Well-
go for how you look on your face cam too.
Oh,
I actually
my
always
God.
have Twitch chat open, and I always have anytime I've casted anything. I always have Twitch chat open, and I've read many comments who do not like me at all, and I just find it funny. I don't know. I just think it's funny, so I kind of like enjoy it because I
Brutal.
just see it fly
I-
by. It's like somebody being like, because there's so many comments, people just like sneak it in there. I'm like, oh, I saw
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah, no,
Just,
I
like,
saw
for
that
2
one.
seconds. I saw it fly by. I'm like, that's pretty funny, and then just continue. It's
I
sometimes
keep it
useful. Sometimes you don't notice
closed.
something in Twitch chat if they're all spamming it. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that's happening in the broadcast because we can't hear online everything that the chat can hear.
Yeah, I keep it close, and Hootie Who knows this too. For me, one like really negative comment, if it like hits the right nerve, will send me you know, because everybody has like, oh, I'm bad at this. If they hit the right thing, it'll send me down. Or more commonly nowadays, when I see stuff in chat when I'm commentating, like maybe a charity tournament or something, I want to argue with them. So
Yeah.
it ends up
Really?
just being the worst. It sends my mind in a different direction.
No way. I that's so interesting because I know it's not for everybody, but I love it personally. I love it. I think it's so
Yeah.
funny to me. But I also, if somebody said that, if a caster told me they're bothered by it, I'd be like, close it, close it. If it bothers you, close
It's
it,
way
you know?
better now that people aren't like constantly pooing on the casters because the casters are good. So I think it's much more handleable.
Yeah, no, it's great. No, nobody can control F any caster's username. It's just nothing. Dead. Nobody cares. It's a good thing.
For me, if I
Right.
see one more comment saying look like Ed Sheeran, which I absolutely do not, it's not even close. I'm gonna go
You
over the deep
started
end.
it
I'm
now.
gonna go
You
over the deep
started it
end.
now,
Gotta
Ed.
admit-
Oh,
No,
God.
No, I look. You look up a picture of Ed Sheeran. No, I get this in stream all the time. You look up a picture of Ed Sheeran and you look at me, and they're nothing similar. And I'm putting my foot down on that. Never
you
again.
even-
You're
Gender.
both super pale. You've both got slightly red. Well, he's got very red hair.
It's
and
just,
you've
yeah,
got
it's literally just the hair
the
color.
slight beard,
It's the
and
hair. It's
and
the hair.
That's
a bit of a
no.
rounded face.
That's
as
literally
well.
like me.
I'm not gonna lie, you do look like you're
You look a lot like
There goes Johnny pushing the
Gonna lie.
agenda.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie here. Just have to be honest.
Johnny, you
know?
just convinced this Twitch chat.
Johnny, I know. Next time you
I'm
cast,
sorry, man.
next time you cast the Ghost series, start like working in Ed Sheeran lyrics.
No,
the
wait, no.
entire time.
Yeah.
I
Oh
would
my
forgive you. I wouldn't
God.
forgive you. I promise I wouldn't forgive you. I promise.
Oh, that's
We don't need
there's
your
not enough-
forgiveness.
and not
If
enough
there's
persuasion,
anyone
I'm
who can
afraid.
do that, it's Stacks. Stacks could do that 100%. The
What's
man's a
up, Demar?
master of, like puns. Hey,
Oh, by the way, anybody doesn't know Dazrin snuck in.
Oh,
Yeah.
Say hello to
Oh,
Dazrin
Daz.
shop.
Yo.
I'll get him on cam in a
Yeah,
second.
Shock does have a lot of bad habits. That's for sure.
Stop, bro. Stop. You've just
Yeah,
had to
Ghost
look up
could
Ed
really
Sheeran,
be
bro.
the
No one knows
A-team,
Ed
man.
Sheeran
I did.
songs.
I
No
did
one
have to
listens
look
to
up
Ed Sheeran.
I
I
shouldn't have
did
said
have to look up.
anything.
He's the most listened to on Spotify, isn't he? He's number one.
Yeah,
but
like
I had
Shape
to
of
look up
You.
his songs.
Yeah.
Yes. The shape
heard-
of you. There has to be a pun there somewhere. Yeah.
I was thinking, as soon as you said it, I was thinking, but no. I'm not looking up Ed Sheeran. I'm not letting that be in my search history.
Really? What's wrong with that? Ed Sheeran gives a lot of love to the UK hip hop scene. Come on, you gotta respect
True.
it.
I mean, he's done like 2 songs with Stormzy. Not really.
It's
Wait,
way
has he?
more. He's collab with loads of people.
Has he?
Surely. Yeah.
Oh well.
I'll-
You can
I'll-
tell I
I
don't
won't-
listen.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you off stream. We'll figure it out.
I got sent the UK drill playlist by Rizex.
It was when.
Why by Rizex? Like, why would you ask Rizex of
I
all
didn't
people?
ask
I'm right
Rizex.
here, bro. I'm right here. I'll send you a
I,
bang.
Listen.
I didn't ask.
Listen,
What's for
yeah, right. I didn't ask him for one. He was just asking me how much like UK drill I listen to. I was like, I only got like 2 songs, and he sent me a playlist. See, he's taking
There
the
you go.
initiative here, Rise.
Wait,
My
can you
goodness.
respect
send
it.
me that playlist so I can find out
Yeah.
if Rizex is valid?
Okay, yeah. It's not
Yeah,
all
because-
UK artists either, so.
Good. Diversity.
I've actually given him artists to add to this playlist. Just a
Nice
thing.
ghost hoodie. Love to see that.
You can't buy this anywhere, by the way.
No, you cannot. It's exclusive.
That's right.
I don't even have it. I'm on the org.
Damn.
Yeah. So exclusive.
Oh, Riz, I did realize something you've written in here. So are G2 confirmed for wildcard now? Is that
Yeah,
a thing?
G2 got
Did it?
wildcard when all they had to do was outplace SSG to like the grand finals because SSG got to the grand finals too. So they ended up having to beat them. But eventually, like once they were in top 6, I think they had to outplace SSG.
Wow.
I
Good
don't
G2.
understand how G2 are so good.
Why?
That they just you like this is a kind of extending on what I said earlier about how you can know how a team works and still not be able to beat them. And like G2 is a team that you can fundamentally very easily understand. They do a style like that makes sense. And you think in your head, yeah, I can counter that. And then all of a sudden Chicago's chasing you, Atomic has 8 separate confusing touches in one play, and JNaps is slotting it top shelf, and you're like, well, I guess I felt prepared at least. And it ends up not mattering. So, I mean, their dominance and what we've seen from them, and honestly, SSG are playing really, really good too. It's just like G2 sometimes they genuinely do look and feel unbeatable. I can't describe like how playing against them makes you always feel under pressure, even if they're not next to you on the field.
Rise, what's it like to beat G2 in a series so Shock can understand?
I mean, pretty light work. I'm joking.
I gotta go,
Sometimes it
guys.
requires a bit of a kerfuffle in Game 7. Other times it's hard, but you know.
Yeah, you know, we should have won the series in Game 6. We trolled Game 6 of the first series so hard. We were up like 10 seconds left, and then we conceded a kickoff goal. Which is what we
Kickoff
got
goal,
earlier.
you say?
It wasn't
Sounds kind of cringe if you ask me.
Yeah, why are
You
you
two being cringe? In a
Imagine
private
tryharding,
match?
bro. Imagine tryharding on stage. Embarrassing, honestly.
Well, speaking of G2, how many of you guys think they can maintain the momentum? They've won the major, they won a regional. Do they go back to back to back?
Well,
No.
I think it doesn't matter if they go back to back to back if they just do like top 2, top 3 each time and take that momentum. Like
You would
they're doing it at the right
count
time
that
at
as
the end
momentum.
of the season, right?
Yeah, you would still count
feel
like a
like-
top 2, top 3 as their momentum still going. You
I
give
don't
them some
think
slack.
they would, though. I don't think they would.
I think
I
top
don't think
3
they
is
would either.
iffy. I think being in a grand final and maybe they lose to a team that's playing absolutely out of their
Yeah.
minds, I don't think that'd kill their momentum to themselves. I'd say top 3 might be a bit.
It wouldn't
if
kill
they-
them, but like
If
for
they
us,
got
for
bracket
example,
reset. Sorry,
for
Rise,
us
what
in
was it?
the last split, come in first, second, and first, like really kind of annoyed us that we didn't win all 3. So I'm sure for them it'd be like the same.
Yeah, I mean,
If
they're not
they,
gonna
if
be
they
happy
get
with
bracket
it, but-
reset and lose, that could be a momentum killer. If they lose twice in a row,
Yeah,
that
could-
would maybe like, yeah, that'd be especially annoying.
it could be annoying not to win, but at the same time, that didn't kill your guys' momentum going into the major at all, did it?
No, it didn't kill our momentum, but it's like, you know, in the back of your mind, you're like, we could have won all 3 type thing.
Of course, but
I don't think they care, to be honest. Like, I think as long as they make the major, like that's where they care. Because
Yeah.
even Chicago said it in their interview. He was like, no one cares if you win regionals. Like, they only care like how you do in the
Right.
majors.
That's
I don't know, they celebrated pretty hard in the face cams when they won that regional.
I mean, it's still-
they're gonna be
It's
happy.
always
Yeah,
fun,
they're
right?
gonna feel really good. But I couldn't
Because
tell you
that-
who even won like the first 6 NA regionals, and I watched them all.
Mhm.
It's like I know Energy won 1, FaZe won 1, and then
Phase
But there's
Energy
also a
G2.
big celebration there because
so
that's
Energy G2 V1.
that's
Nailed it.
getting them way closer to the major, so it's got to be. a
And it's
huge
more money.
celebration.
Like, you can't forget about the money as well.
Yeah, I think the hype is in the security that okay, we just put ourselves in such a good spot to make the major. We're chilling. Like winning a regional almost secures you at
yeah.
Alfred. So
I find it really odd. Like I understand it, but I find it really odd how they secured Worlds, but they're not secured the next major.
yeah, it
It's
wouldn't
because,
even
well,
matter for them.
right now for NA, there are 7 teams going to Worlds, 3 to the wild card, 4 to the top 16 automatically. So
Mhm.
that's how they've made it in. That basically means if they've secured wild card, that it is not possible for NA to lose enough spots for Worlds for G2 to not get one of them. Like they're
Yeah.
so far ahead of so many other NA teams that there not enough NA teams can pass them. In the
Keep
final
in
events.
mind that there's only 2 100% confirmed invites for NA at the moment, so they might be even more easily in than that.
So
I don't really get how it works, to be honest. Like, what? NA has 2 guaranteed world spots. EU has 1, I think, right now.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So
Where are
like,
the- who
well,
else is
two
guaranteed?
guaranteed extra World spots,
Yeah,
right?
the wild card
Yeah.
spots are fixed. Like no matter what happens, there will
Yeah.
be 3 European teams and 3 NA teams at the wild card. But
Mhm.
like which teams they are, whether it's like 4, 5, 6, or is it 3, 4, 5, depends on how many EU and NA teams
So how many to
automatically
EU?
qualify.
Like, how many spots do EU have like right now?
Right now,
confirmed
six.
EU has
one.
one extra spot,
But most likely
which
they'll
means
have
4 total.
Yeah.
3 or 4, yeah.
Out
It
of
depends
20,
on how well, like
out
if
of
Furia,
24.
well, yeah, out of 24, EU right now has 6, and NA has 7.
Wait, they have 6?
I
I
don't
thought
know
they
how
had
it
4.
works. Yeah, I don't know how it
Well, I'm
works.
talking wild card as well, including
Plus
wild card.
wildcard.
So how many do we have like guaranteed not having to play in a wild card?
One.
I
One.
think 1, but like 2 is almost.
2 is
You can
almost
pretty much-
certain. 3 is still
E-
likely.
Yeah, EU's second best team at London would have to do super badly to, basically 4 EU teams would have to be out before top 6 at London for EU's second best team to not automatically qualify for Worlds as well. Something like that.
Yeah.
It's
Like-
super likely that 2 will get in. Probably 3.
Yeah,
Four
it'd
is
be really
4 is
hard.
on the cusp though.
Almost
4 is right now
7-3.
tied with Sam #1, which is probably going to be Furia.
And
so depending on how,
Mina's right.
well, Mina are off the pace because
Mhm.
they didn't play the second
Yeah.
major.
Mm-hmm. But I feel like they're just
OCE
a
is
tiny
#1
bit
team.
behind Sam, right?
Well, right now is 8th equal is South America and EU's 4th best team, and then
Mhm.
after that is OCE #1, and then it's Mina.
Oh, okay. But those are pretty close. Like they're close point totals,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, they're all going to be
Okay.
fighting like Mina, OCE, Sam, EU, even NA. Like the 4th best team
Yeah.
isn't like out of the water yet. They're all going to be fighting for world spots. And the funny thing is that the teams who are fighting for that world spot probably won't be the one that's getting it. It'll be like somebody back home who's not even at the major doing a watch party,
Right.
praying for the team to win. So that'll be really,
Yeah,
really
that's
funny
what
to
I was
watch those
thinking.
watch
I
parties.
If we
mean-
don't make London, we're going to be like praying that like BDS and these teams like win.
Yeah.
Yeah, you really
It's gonna
want to
be
root for your
class.
region.
Yeah.
hmm
No, yeah. I
That's
mean,
why NA versus EU is so cool now.
yeah. So like for us, like at Ghost, like our shot at making like the wild card is an outside shot. One, we have to make this major, first of all.
Hmm.
Second of all, we need like Envy or Complexity to do really bad the next 2
Well, that's not
regionals. Well, Envy got
Damn.
top 6, and they really need to bomb out, and then we would need to do well at the major as well, and then we can maybe get a wild card spot. It's gonna be really close. Or the other scenario is that we just pass 8th, which if we made the major, we would do automatically, and then NA gets that extra like 5 guaranteed spots,
Oh,
and then the
fi-
3
five
which
is-
basically
five
is out of
tough.
the picture.
5 is tough.
5 is extremely unlikely.
The reason 5 is tough is because NA's 5th best team at the fall major
Yeah.
and the winter major both performed pretty badly. So the
Right,
average
exactly.
for NA's 5th best team at all majors will probably be outside the top 8.
We
And the
are
best the
expecting
best
that to be
team
the
could
case.
be
yeah.
is top 6. So like, I
Yeah.
don't think it's even possible.
It's like almost impossible, like really close
Yeah.
to being impossible.
I am sad
all
that
you-
Mina didn't get like pretty much a confirmed spot. Like assumedly maybe a top 6 at LA, and they would have been even above NA4, I think. So and EU3, they could have been like in that 6th position.
They can still do it though. I mean, Falcons just won their 7th regional event in a row. That's the former Sandrock
That's
Gaming.
so
They've-
crazy.
They're the only team who have won every regional that has
Yep.
been played in their region. And I keep saying this every time I'm on the podcast. Like, Mina's scary. Like, there's some really killer teams in there that they're beating every time.
Yeah.
And it doesn't stop.
Like it's
They
not
keep
just a
winning.
free region.
They had to play against Senzo in the final of this one, which is pretty cool.
Hmm.
Veloce, right?
Yeah, Veloce is
Yeah.
Senzo's new team with Twiz and SMW. Twiz and SMW are 2 players who are part of the roster that first took a series off Sandrock Gaming ever.
Well, they were
The first Middle East
impressive.
team. Yeah, it was SMW Twiz Impressive. They were the first Middle Eastern team just about a year and a half ago to ever beat Sandrock Gaming in a series. And now they're still like top tier to this day playing with Senzo. So yeah, they're legit, but they can't win a regional against Falcons.
Well, it's not even one. Give them. I think they'll win one.
You think that they're gonna lose one region? I don't know how they just keep winning. Like, is there no point where they're just gonna be like?
I mean, the
inconsistent
region
at
is
all?
like I'd say there's like 6 like good like top tier
Yeah, there's 6. I agree.
teams, and then the rest are like really like I think it's Sandrock, the sort of 5 others, and then everyone else like all the way down here. I still think they're like because obviously they've competed against EU teams for what 3 years now ish, 2-3 years. So like they've sort of got that kind of boost on these teams. Like they're like a year ahead or something. It feels like.
Yeah. Still though, if there's like 5 other good teams, I mean, if every regional in NA was only the top 6 teams, you wouldn't expect one team to win all 7 or every regional. There's still like good. I don't know. What do you think, Rise? You play against these guys in rank like Twiz, SMW.
Oh, they're
Senzo.
really good players. I've never played like I played Ultimates in 3s, which is Am's team.
Amsmussen and Zezonix.
Yeah. They warmed us up for quite a few events last split. They're a pretty good team, but they're not on Sandrock's level in 3s. And even though they're good teams, they're not on their level yet. But they will be soon. But right now, I don't think they are.
I'm stoked to see where number 2 from Mina stack up against OC and Sam in the wild card, because that's going to be kind of crazy and should show the world how good Mina is.
Well, imagine Mina 2 makes it through the wild card into the main event at Worlds. Suddenly, Sandrock, or now Falcons, winning every event looks so much
Looks
better.
spectacular. Yeah.
It looks crazy good. That's
I
what
think
we find
Mina
out.
too will. I guess there's like the lack of experience that might cost.
They could.
them.
I think they could do it.
I think
gonna
they
be
probably
tough,
will
though.
because wildcard's 16 teams, right? And it's Swiss, and
Yeah,
it's
8
sort of.
teams qualify, so there's going to be 3 teams from EU, 3 from
To be
NA. so
honest, I feel
at
like
least 2.
all the NA and EU teams should make it because it's like the South African teams, right? It's Sub-Saharan Africa.
Yeah,
It's
2
one of the
Sub-Saharan
spoils.
Africa, 2 APAC, 2 OCE, 2 SAM, 2 MENA.
You would expect all the Sub-Saharan Africa and APAC teams to lose, in my opinion. I feel like those teams, like,
Yeah.
there's nothing they can really do, like, because they're literally 5 years behind everyone else.
But it's also Swiss, so you're going to end up 100% having EU versus EU round 5, so it'll be fine.
I think they'll. Oh, whoa!
Oh, you good?
Oh.
You want to talk about it? You good?
Who was that?
Yeah.
No, that lagged.
That was weird.
Lagged at play.
Yeah, I just cut out for a second.
Jeez.
Is that
Yeah.
here?
Yeah, is my internet back? Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, you're back.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So
What was I gonna
Mario
say now? What was I gonna say? I think you said they're 5 years behind. I don't think they're gonna take like that long to actually catch up, though.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
Obviously,
no,
they're
no. I
five.
mean,
I think they'll be.
they're
I think they'll be
fucking-
pretty competitive by like next year, maybe a little bit more.
It's like next couple of years, yeah. They started 5 years behind, but obviously they're in current meta, so it's
But they took
like-
a game off FaZe at their second event, and that was not even the best team in APAC. That was a team who on their day beat the best team on APAC, and they beat FaZe in a game. Actually, only lost by 1 goal in 2 other games. I was very confused by that series. I thought FaZe were going to destroy them, but then it was closer until the 4th game.
They weren't even the second best team of APAC, technically.
Yeah, they were 3rd in the rankings, but they
Yeah.
just got in because the second best team were like, we can't go. Crazy story.
APAC North, by the way, looking really good this split.
is that what the X
What
forced?
changes?
Okay, so Kanra is out from Tokyo Verde, and Kanra was completely useless for them. And Sigums is in. So Sig, who is an American
Oh.
living in Japan, who's actually like very good, was on the team with Doomsy. He's a very good player, and also they have, and he's played well from third man, and they've brought in. They're now using English comms, obviously, and funnily enough, Realize always says that English comms are better than Japanese comms because Japanese comms take too long to actually get what you want across.
Really?
So
way.
yeah, it's a big change up there, and they think that's going to also help them out. But on the same note, Nimpt brought in Maru, who we all know from the first split, and Maru is incredibly pog. He managed to, in the last split, carry 2 basically nobodies into the top 6 by himself, dragging them, and he looked good doing it. So Nimpt looked really good, and that was the team that came second but didn't go overseas or didn't play in the playoffs. And then also number 3, they Detonator dropped Olpix because all he is a demo machine and picked up Lunatic, who is their only basically 15-year-old mech kid. All the rest of them are like 25 years old, but he's a young mech guy. So
So if they
I
made a
don't
super
know-
team, are they good? Like if APAC North did
I-
a super team?
I don't think they'll necessarily perform better. I think they're less likely to make the major without Olpix, but they to be a better team during the regionals.
Okay. Interesting. That's happening this weekend, right? APAC North.
Yeah, this next weekend. APAC South is way different. I think the quality at the top is no longer is not there. But they've got like 6 to 7, maybe even 8 teams that are all competing at like just a step behind APAC North right now. So I think Rise's timeline of like maybe 2 years helps them because they've got a lot of depth where they are, and they'll be fighting each other really hard.
Yeah, it's nice to be a pro before the Asian countries just completely.
Oh yeah, they'll dominate us in half a decade. We're all chalked at
Yeah,
that
we're
point.
tired. Me and Shock on the desk. Like,
Yeah.
Me and Shock on the desk.
Well, they're hugely disadvantaged because they don't have they can't play ranked. Like, if OC is bad in terms of its population of ranked at the very top, APAC is just completely dead. They come and play on the OC
Right.
servers on 120 ping.
Ranked is an underrated way to improve. Like, not in the sense that like it's gonna make you some sort of god, but like ranked can really test you to try to be ready for so many variety of circumstances in the game. Like it keeps you thinking on your feet and it keeps your mechanics warm. And like not having that available to you because you're in a region with doesn't have a huge player base is really unfortunate because like it's just so hard. Like at least like those MENA guys can QE you sometimes. It's on higher ping, but still it's something where you get those reps. But like it must be so hard to improve where your only source of improvement is coming from your other peers in that same region with that same cap.
Yeah, you can't even play when you want. Like,
Right,
okay, I have
yeah.
like extra
Yeah.
time here. I have
You
an
can't
extra
get the
hour.
hours in. Yeah.
I mean,
Like,
apparently,
Can't find a game.
any Middle Eastern servers like don't work. Like they literally don't work. Is what I've heard from a lot of people.
Yeah,
like,
they prefer to play on EU servers because they're more consistent connections
mhm.
than Middle East. But the
That's
Middle
right.
East servers for RLCS are better, so they
Yeah,
use
the
proper- they
dedicated
use
ones. yeah.
dedicated servers, so they don't have that problem.
Also, hi Sathu, how's it going, mate?
Welcome.
Going good. Hello, lads.
It's good.
What's good? What's good?
Look at Popovich.
Yeah, Popovich is here.
No, actually, with the rank thing though, fully agree because this is the first season, and I don't know how long though. We actually got JNaps playing twos again.
Huge, massive.
Dude,
that's
Oh,
I
yeah.
queued into him today. I was playing threes though. Sorry to
Yeah,
burst your bubble,
yeah.
but
Me too.
I queued into him today.
He's playing with Perch
How'd they-
Peach.
Wait, was he actually?
Yeah.
Oh my
I was like,
God.
holy shit,
The
what a
legend.
throwback.
That is a throwback.
That's what JNAP's dad told me this right after they won. I was talking to him briefly when you guys won the major,
Mhm.
and that's the one thing he told me. He's like, "This is awesome because he's the team. He really loves the team, and it's motivated him to play ranked again. And they've been telling him like, you got to keep practicing, you got to keep on grinding. And he was like, I know, but man, my motivation is just not there. But now it's back. So long live JNAPs.
Long live Jane. Long live the
High-key,
king.
though, ranked can make you feel like sometimes like if you're really trying to like take it seriously and improve while you're playing ranked, which is obviously preferable, like sometimes you're just gonna end up like losing a bunch of ranked games in a row. Like maybe it's like unbalanced teams or some other circumstance. And you feel like you're the worst player in your region. Like you're just like there's no way that Billy Bob 42 just flip reset on me. Like
Have y'all been seeing Arsenal tweets about ranked?
Every day with that. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, he is not enjoying ranked.
I mean, was it on here that before we started, he was like telling his teammate to lock in or something? I swear that was on here last time. Arsenal was like, I think the guy was called Doodoo Fart. Like, I'm not even joking. Like,
I get that guy on my
Yeah,
team.
he was
I get
playing.
that guy on my team.
Yeah, face.
Yeah, Doodoo comes in my chat all the time too. He's
Arsenal
probably
was
grinding
like,
right
Doodoo
now.
Fart, log in. He's like,
He's grinding.
Wait, yeah. What happens when like he eventually becomes pro?
Oh, they have to change his
Doodoo
name.
fart.
There's no way they're letting Doodoo fart on stage.
You gotta change that, bro.
I'd love it.
He's gonna change his name to DDF. It'll be a zombie poop shark situation.
Yeah,
no one
that's
will
true.
know.
That's a good point.
You gotta know to know.
Well, the player in
PDF.
the player in APAC North called Popo used to be called Poop San, so I think he should change his name.
Poop son. Oh, it's so
Oh my god. I love his lore, holy.
Oh,
Where we're
man.
predicting it like 2 years down the line, DDF's gonna rise into the scene.
New rebrand, new start.
By the way, for you two players, how much do you scrim like on a daily basis?
It depends. Normally 2 times a day is what we do.
Do you
Yeah.
ever feel like people should be scrimming way more? Like there should be more hours in actual scrim practice, especially if people aren't playing ranked.
I mean, part of your job as a pro is to like improve, and you're not going to do that by just playing scrims. It's like you need a mixture of the brain dead ranked mindset and also like having an actual structure in a team. But I think games like people are like, well, League pros scrim 5 hours a day and CS pros scrim like 4 or 5 hours a day. Yeah, like it's crazy. People are like, why don't Rocket League players do this? It's because the game is literally just you're fully focused for 5 minutes. If you stop focusing for 2 seconds, you're going to concede. Like you have to be like, it is actually like a mental.
Very draining. Yeah, it's not a chill game.
Those games
just-
last a lot longer too, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
they
45
do.
minutes for a league game sometimes.
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah,
about this a lot.
Big breaks with like the setup, but like setting up those games often takes a lot of time. Or like there's bigger like natural breaks in games like CS:GO and League when you're
I mean,
dead.
like,
You're just, like
League is like,
I-
yeah, you're dead in CS:GO. It's like the whole round you're just chilling. League,
Or,
like
like,
half the time
running-
you're
you're
running
running
back
to
and
lane.
forth. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You're,
My-
you're,
my-
you're pinging your top lane because he died again. Like, there's so much like, there's so much like
Rocket
shit going on in League.
Rocket League, I think it's more like a sport than a lot of other esports because how many
Yeah.
like if anyone's played even like for a high school sports team, how many like just practice games do you do? You don't do that many practice games. You're usually practicing drills or like you're doing like a lot of fitness training. So it's never like, oh, we need to do more practice games or else we're gonna lose our game this weekend. That's like only like maybe a 1 or 2 like a week.
I
if
think
you're,
it
like, training
goes-
every day.
I think the comparison goes even further than that. You literally can't practice football for 8 hours a day because your body
Yeah.
will be wrecked. So similar in Rocket League. However, I've always wanted to find like a team who's wanting to like scrim and do 2 sessions, like a 2-hour session at midday and a 2-hour session at 6
Didn't-
p.m. or something like that. where
Didn't
you have a
Heroic say to
breakout.
do something like that? Didn't
It's not working, but
They
Wait,
just
wait,
they just
Brutal.
0-3 out of the regional or
Yeah.
the qualifier. That's a bad example.
I completely
saying.
missed what just happened.
Yeah, you're right
I'm
though.
just
You're
saying.
right. Yeah,
Right, they do that, right? Like they don't.
yeah.
I actually
6
don't know.
hours or something like that.
Wait, seriously, maybe I didn't hear that the first time. You say they scrim 6 hours a day?
Was that? Can anyone? Any
I
that
don't
you
know.
guys-
I
Any
don't know.
vouchers?
I have
Any
no
vouchers?
idea. No.
Wait,
Because that's
I
insane.
completely missed it. Which team?
Heroic.
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 Is
Oh,
that was that an
6
insult that you had
hours.
to ask? Or were you just like roasting them right there? Is that a serious question?
Me?
Yeah, shock. He's like, who is that again?
No,
Oh,
dead
yeah.
serious, dead
Ah.
serious. I
Yeah,
didn't hear it. Dead
He
serious,
wasn't
I didn't
looking for an answer.
Yeah.
No,
There we
that
go.
6 hours is too much. That would make you hate the game.
That,
hate
that,
yourself.
Yeah.
I might have
Yeah.
overstated that.
There's a few teams that like
I can
they
see
treat it
4.
as soon as you treat Rocket League like a job, you're finished. Like you're
Yeah.
gonna hate yourself. You're gonna hate the game. You're gonna get on every day and be like, "Fuck, man, I gotta play this shit game. I gotta do far every day, bro. 6
Yeah.
hours do far."
Yeah.
6 hours versus 2
Like,
No,
you just don't want to play.
there's a certain aspect to the having fun mentality that's important. It's not everything, but it's certainly a big factor. You have to love the game to play well, straight up.
That's why when people ask should pros practice ones, I'm like, yes, if they enjoy it, but
Yeah.
if they don't.
That's my
probably
same
no,
answer I give
because
on stream.
It's probably useful, but if you're hating every second of it, then no,
Yeah.
don't do it.
It depends on
Terrible.
the person as well. Because when I play ones, I bring like terrible habits into threes. But like
Yeah.
that's for me as a pro already. But for like someone coming up, yeah, ones is probably like the best thing for improvement, honestly.
Yeah, some people I'm like, oh yeah, this guy should play better ones, but like some other players, they don't really have to. They've like already been there, done that.
Yeah.
Some players
That's
skip
what I've
that whole part.
always noticed with there's always a bunch of players like Astral and Chaussette and stuff. I'm using some EU examples that are like, I play best when I have the least number of hours, or I don't play ranked. And I think they are the type of players that take a ranked mentality into the tournament. Like they play differently but can't context switch easily. However, it's always seemed to unfortunately catch up on those guys at the same time that they'll.
I think it
eventually
does
fall behind.
eventually. Like lack of hours, it'll catch up with anyone, no matter how talented they are. But if I think it's about the mentality. Some people are playing ranked to win the rank game. Some
Mhm.
pros are playing ranked to win the rank game and sit rank 1 in the leaderboard to sit top 10. But some players are like, I'm just gonna go in and work on my flip resets in rank today, and they know it's stupid, and they're probably just not gonna score or even make good plays half the time. But they're still just going in with that mentality to learn. So they're getting something out of it, even if they lose.
Yeah, I think the idea of like playing better on low hours, it's wrong. It's like you said, like they're on low hours because they don't like to do anything outside of scrims. Whereas like, yeah, I mean that's reasonable. Again, if you're not having fun and you're really just hating your time on the game, then you shouldn't. But there's other ways you can fill your time than just be like, yeah, I play better on lower hours. Like no, everyone plays better on higher. I mean, there's too many hours.
That's cap. That's cap. That's not true.
No,
Everyone has their like peak number of hours. I feel like, and it's different for everyone.
That you can't convince me 40 hours past 2 can be peak for anyone. Genuinely.
I mean, honestly, Atomic. You know Atomic Luminosity.
Yes.
Not mine.
He if you put him on 90 hours, he will not be as good as he is on 35.
Sure, but he's probably better in 60.
Exactly, that's what I mean. Everyone has like, Justin was talking about this on stream the other day. Like everyone has their like, this is too much. This is too little. Like you have to have like a solid number, and I feel like it's different for.
It surely is different, but I feel like the range is concise. Like there's this is a craft that like you don't play for like 2 days and you feel like a bot for like the next 3 days on this game. And like to say that like, you know, somehow 30 or 40 hours past two, yeah, it might feel better than you to 90 or 80, but I for me personally, I can't be convinced that like someone's limit, like physically and mentally, like we've seen people undertake much heavier workloads. There's no like I don't know. I can't believe there's a way where 60 hours past two is worse than 35 or something like that. Like I can't believe it.
I think it honestly, I think it depends on how much people who are coming into the scene. So like new pros, I think when they're coming into the scene, it depends on how much they've played to get to that point. Like I feel like people always improve at different rates. It's like some people will be like better on 50 than someone else on like 70.
Sure, but that's still like that concise range that I'm talking about. Like my argument isn't that I agree that there's different levels of hours that are better for different players. Some people might really enjoy 90. I don't like 90. I like 70. But there's a point where it's too low and there's no justifying it. Like that's what I'm saying. Once you start getting into that like 40 and lower past 2 weeks, like there's no justifying it as a job, in my opinion. Like it just doesn't work properly.
Your
Goes to
paycheck
just
ceiling.
Scrim hours at that point. Yeah.
Right.
Well,
I
I'm not going to
think
say how many hours I'm on right now because it is below 40, but
I think we
Well, we
agree,
know
but we're
if you
talking about
lose-
two different things. At the
If you
same
lose
time.
this weekend, Rise, then you've just set yourself up for disaster, man.
blame me.
As long as you're feeling good, that's all that matters.
I mean,
It's-
he can still play great, but the question is, could he have played a little bit better? That's the only difference. Like, it's not like he's probably going to play terrible. He's got less than this many hours. It's more like, was there room for maybe even a better, like a bigger peak, etc. Is like my argument.
He's giving the
The
Reddit
team
kids some
that had
ammo.
won every Apex South until this one, Gladiators, one of their players had 5 hours in the last 2 weeks and then 0 hours in the previous
Confirmed.
2 weeks. So
Wait,
Yeah.
and did he? Wait, you said he won?
they came
No, they won
second.
every
Oh.
They
regional
lost for
until
the
this
first
one.
time. Yeah.
Oh, I needed 5
say
hours
zero?
past two.
Yeah, I mean, did you
Was
say
there,
zero?
was there a reason? That's sus. Like, why 5?
I think
Was he
his
busy?
PC was broken for a bit, and
That's
then
fair,
I
yeah.
don't know. Again he couldn't play ranked, and maybe a motivation thing. I'm not sure. I didn't get to actually like specifically talk to him other than like in a Twitch chat.
Yeah.
5 hours.
Well,
Five.
I'm gonna shift this one a bit away from the hours here. We're gonna kind of, I guess. Well, NA got to do it. EU hasn't yet, so I guess we'll get Rise's thoughts on it. But I wanted to know how everybody feels about double elim as a format, because a lot of people actually complain about the last one, and so they threw the most basic one at you now. See if you can complain on this one.
I don't mind. Like honestly, like it's gonna punish you if you do bad. It's gonna reward you if you do well. Like 2 series wins is top 6.
Yeah.
Everyone who loses is gonna complain about the format. Everyone who wins isn't. They're gonna love the format. It's the same with everything. Honestly, you just gotta sort of play what's in front of you and win. That's honestly
Love
what you
that.
can do.
Just win. I'll simply take.
I think
the
it's
win.
also like more obviously punishing. Like it's very obvious who you're going to face and whatnot. Whether you know the difference between a second or third seed going in the lower bracket put so many times where you'd end up being against a crazy team who underperformed the previous day against the second best team of that group, rather than the unlikely chance of say number 1 seed in the tournament losing to the number 16 seed. It was the number 1 seed losing to the number 4 seed, and now you have to verse the number 1 seed because of that.
There's
So
also less of a like difference. Like in the winter split format, it was for some teams more forgiving because you've lost twice in groups but you're still in. For other teams, it's more punishing because you lose once in groups and now you're in lower round 1. So it's very punishing for the teams who come second in groups. For first and third, it's pretty good. So that's why some people I think didn't like it. But this one is very like, okay, you lose, you've got to go lower bracket. Everybody, it's
very
the same for
standard.
everyone. So at least in that sense, I think less people are going to complain because it's very consistent. There's no situations where a team go 2-1 in groups, lose a tiebreaker in overtime, and then they're lower round 1, and the team that beat them is like upper round whatever, upper semis. So I think less people will complain, but players might be at the end of this split. Players might be like, "This is the worst format of all time."
I would like your guys' opinion on this, like, because I feel like my opinion is strong, but I said it at the wrong time when I was losing, so everyone just roasted me instead of my
That's right.
criticism.
You say, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So like the just win mentality feels like the right thing you should be thinking as a player, but the wrong thing you should be thinking as someone to make a format better. Like any format that places extreme value and importance on what your seed is, I feel like is a worse format than one that minimizes but still respects what a seed should be able to do for you. Like a Swiss format, like minimizes the effect that a seed has on your ability, like minimizes but still respects it. Like as a seed, you're still going to get tiebreak advantages and initial round advantages, but like at the end of the day, you have a big sample size of series to make things, the best teams are most likely going to get through. Whereas like, formats like the groups, which kind of, even though second and third for some reason get placed in the same spot in the bracket, like in that winter group format, like in the second part, and then double elim where you only have 2 lives, so it really amplifies how a seed like impacts who you're playing and when. So like I have a strong opinion on it, but like I said it at the wrong time, so I wonder what you guys think about it, because I've spoken about it.
I think you're completely right when you start talking about seeding, because it's so hard to get the right seeding. And then in the previous, when you had groups, the seeding would make it super like unfair almost. Like the number 3 seed from Group A at the major won it, and the number 4 seed from Group B at the major won that, and that just throws off those groups completely, and kind of destroys the tournament, compared to double elim where there's a balance, right? As a tournament organizer, and I'm trying to talk because I've done a lot of these formats before as an organizer too, is that you got a balance between the viewership and the like competitive integrity. The competitive integrity is how fair it is for the teams, how likely you are to get the best team to actually win the competition. And the double elim is much more on the viewership side. We want to have like a really good viewership experience, high stakes the entire way. Swiss format is super competitive integrity focused, but not a great viewer experience when the fact that there's like 10 billion matches going on and a lot of them aren't that important. But the middle one didn't strike a really good balance between the two. It's meant to be like a halfway between an amazing viewership experience and competitive integrity, but it didn't hit the competitive integrity marks very well, and it still didn't have a great viewership experience very well. So that's why I feel like it fell a little bit flat, that there's a better format there, or even just a retweaking of that format to find it better in those categories.
I think you just spoke so many facts, because that was the main thing I was going to say was Swiss format for me. Obviously, I'm a viewer, so just watching it.
But you played too. Come on, give yourself some respect.
I mean, as a viewer, watching Swiss, it's like teams have so many lives that I'm just like, oh, this team got upset. Who cares? They're gonna make it through 3-1 now. Like it doesn't really matter, because there's no panic. There's so many chances that it's gonna be the same exact outcome anyway. It's just like, oh, you get like less of a seed going into the next part of the tournament. I agree 100%. Swiss is the most fair as a player. I would much rather have Swiss. I feel like that would be the best thing possible, because if you truly lose in Swiss, if you bomb out in Swiss, it's 100% just on you. Like you could not blame anything else. You had so many chances. Double M gets a little scarier, but I think the best part about it was that it was done at the end of the season, so the seeding for the double limb was like proper. You had all season to prove your seed, and that was the seed like you were rewarded because that's how you performed all season. So
That hasn't worked well in the non-NA and EU regions, by the
Yeah,
way, because they very quickly lose the chance to go
They
to
lose all
Worlds,
their points.
and
too.
so they split all their points. They just destroy their teams and come back, and now all of a sudden you probably have the third best team in the first round
Yeah,
against the number
no
one seeded
seed.
team.
Yeah.
Okay,
Renegades
well,
had like
maybe not the
every
perfect
tough team in
format.
the OC bracket. It was funny.
No, yeah. I guess what do you guys think is the correct balance then? What should an organizer like be looking for more? Like obviously viewership is what runs your esport almost. Like so like obviously you want to value that. Like Double Elam is very good for that. Every series feels very cutthroat, but obviously for the players that's not exactly what you're looking for as a player. So like what's the balance?
I think it depends. What was it? Regionals we're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
And sure, I think more you have to I think for regionals you have to lean more towards this is where the main objective here, or like really a big objective is to find out who the best teams are in regionals.
Mhm.
But if it's a major, no, we already found out who the best teams are. They're here. So it should be, I think, major. Like right now, the major follows this same format as the split, which is makes sense because it's got to be consistent. But I think in my perfect world, every regional throughout the entire year would have the same format, and every major throughout the entire year would have the same format because they're trying to do different things. Regionals, you're trying to find out who the best teams are. Majors, you want to know who wins, and it better be entertaining because that's where all the eyes are. Everybody's
Right.
watching, even like the super casual Rocket League fans are watching. So Swiss is like harder to sell for a major because, like you said, it's confusing for the casual fans, and there's so many of them watching majors, and you gotta make it as cutthroat as possible. Well, maybe not
There's
as possible. It has to be
also-
more cutthroat.
There's also a really interesting fact with the regionals is that you could run any format on Friday. Like the Swiss actually doesn't matter so much because Saturday and Sunday the main days for viewership, and as long as the format for that is really good, then it's fantastic. Like I think the best format is Swiss into double Elium. I actually hate the Swiss into
Same.
single Elium.
What?
Which is really
Double?
competitive
Double.
integrity.
Double?
Really good for
Teams
competitive
have got
integrity
49 chances.
going that way.
Really,
But-
yeah, really good for competitive
wait,
integrity because
pause.
everybody has 17 lives.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
why Swiss into double?
Well, also
specifically,
I come
and
from
not
regions.
single.
I cast regions where there's like an import on top 2 and top 1 rather than getting into like top 4. So having single Elium is really bad
Oh, yeah.
at finding anything but the best team of the day.
Yeah.
Right.
That's fair.
Oh, okay.
And so
Okay,
that
okay.
also, in terms of competitive integrity for those regions, more than anything else, that's really tough if you're
Yeah.
trying to find 2 teams because you could have the 5th best team come second because the top 4 teams are all on the same side of the bracket.
That's fair. I think that's a good point. So maybe for the other regions aren't looking for 5 of the best teams, you're looking for 2. Maybe there needs to be a different format. But the argument against that is like less people are going to watch, or like when they tune in, they'll be like, "What on earth is happening? This is
Well,
not the same."
I think that makes sense. to have
So
a
my
different
point,
format.
my point with that is that like, okay, so Swiss takes up a portion of the tournament days, right? Like let's take the major for example. We had group stages for Thursday through Friday, and then we had the bracket Saturday, Sunday. So you're not gonna have a lot of people watching anyways on those days because they're normally like weekdays anyways. So then by the time the actual casual viewers tune in, which is like playoffs, then they just see a
Yeah.
double elim bracket. So you have your competitive integrity, and then you have your high tense double elim bracket where teams can still go on double elim runs.
Yeah, that just balances out a little bit of the seeding. That being said, single Elium is fine when you've got decent seeding out from Swiss, but even then, one upset causes crazy seeding changes. Like
I actually no, it makes sense. When you explain that you need to find out more than the best 2, then that, or you're only looking for the best 2, that makes sense. Why double for you, Daz? Like Swiss into double? Because I get why people would like Swiss for like getting to the top 8, but why double after that?
Well, I think because I've ran literally a Swiss double elim last year, and I think that like for me, like it's just kind of like from a viewer perspective. Like a lot of people think like Swiss is confusing, but of course not a lot of people sit and watch Swiss anyways because it's so confusing. But when it comes down to like playoffs and stuff, I think that it's like, okay, like I'll use NRG for example. Okay, NRG lost. first round, oh, this sucks. Maybe they could go on a run versus like, oh, they lost and then they're done. And then that's it. They played their like one series playoffs. It was on Saturday. Some guy who couldn't watch all week because of work finally is able to watch them. Or, you know, like for example, when we had LA Major Saturday, Sunday, people showed up, all these NRG fans showed up to the crowd and they just weren't there. So then people are just kind of like, okay.
There is an element of Rocket League there where you have one team have a really good day or one team have a really bad day, and then there's no like.
It's just
No
It's
chance to
tough.
see them
You know
again.
what's interesting is, did anyone, like, out of all the NRG fans who had that happen to them, maybe there's some of them in chat. You're an NRG fan. You wanted to see NRG play specifically. Obviously, all the other teams maybe as well, but mainly them. And you missed out seeing them at the major because they were knocked out. Like, yeah, what was that like? I've not really heard many people explain like what that experience was like. I've heard, it's talked about a lot, but I've not actually heard the
Yeah.
people.
Turbo
These
said he's
people
sad
actually
about
tell
that.
us. You're sad about it. Yeah, that's rough.
Turbo
I
he didn't
saw-
realize that they weren't playing.
I don't know if I like with Saturday. If somebody's out on Saturday because they lost in quarterfinals of a single elim, I don't see the problem with that because that quarterfinal's probably way more exciting if it's single elim than if it's upper bracket, and they're just like on their first life.
Mm-hmm.
Where people are going to tune in because it's like, oh, this is do or die for NRG on Saturday. Quarterfinal versus, well, I mean, talk about Fall Major. Quarterfinal versus Sandrock Gaming. That's do or die. If it's upper bracket, people are probably going to be like, oh, well, I might not watch that. I'll see. If they go lowers, I'll watch it. And if they advance, I'll watch it.
Yeah,
Like, single elim is just more-
I love watching elimination games just naturally, just
Same.
a lot more.
The
I
same.
do too. I think that's most everyone.
Hootie, how did you feel
hmm.
watching it? Like double elim in general.
I feel like my perspective is not very indicative of like the regular viewer because I'm just like all for more Rocket League at the highest level.
Okay.
So
That's fair. That's fair.
you know, I'm good with whatever. I'm also not really like a fan of a specific team. I'm literally just a fan of like good Rocket League. So I don't know. I think the thing that I think I identify with the most with this discussion is what Johnny brought up about like right now we operate with the system where the entire split matches up, and then Yummy brought up a good point too, where like even across different regions, formats may need to be different because they're trying to achieve different things. I think that's really like the most important thing is that we don't have to be this uniform. It's almost like we introduce a complex thing, so we want to simplify it as much as possible. So we're going to lock in this entire split is this format. This split is this format. All regions are the same, and I think the thing that is going to make things a little more easily understandable is one, just time. You know, repetitions. As viewers, we're going to understand. Okay, RLCSX, RLCS 21-22. It's the same thing. We get it. I know there's minor tweaks and stuff, but we'll understand it more as it happens more. It was a huge change from league play. But yeah, I think just a little bit, maybe a little bit better presentation or whatever else. You know, there's other ways to make things easier to understand than like limiting the format to operate inside of these confines. So that's the point that I think is the most important from the discussion.
Would you prefer it if there was instead of split 1 is this format, split 2 is this format, split 3 is this format, that everything was like regional 1 is this format, regional 2 is this format, and regional 3 is this format, where it gets
Right.
more and more hectic as time
Yeah.
goes on, and that third event of the split is a crazy big double elimination and everything is on the line. Like a team could jump 16 places because you could knock out
Right.
number 1. Is that way that you'd prefer?
I think that would be fine, but I'm like laser focused into Rocket League, and so I would be able to keep up with it. But I know that people tuning in on Twitch are not going to be able to keep up with. 2 weeks ago it was Swiss, and this week it's groups, and then the next week is double elim. I think people will, they'll kind of have some issues with that. But yeah, just the idea that regionals don't have to match exactly what that split, like the major doesn't have to match those regionals. So that's, I don't know. They can get
I
creative
think
with it.
the one way that it would be simpler though is if you did do that, you would only need qualifiers for regional 1 because it's going to be the same team. Like maybe regional 1 is some kind of seeding slash a couple teams get eliminated because they lost like a lot, and then regional 2 is like, okay, now we're really weeding it down to the top 8, and then the regional 3 is just the top 8. Like it would just be like different stages of the same qualifier process. That would
So
that would remove the problem of like a team makes regional 3 who have never existed before and their name is something silly, and you're just like, who is this? Who are these guys? It's really cool for the like Rock League, the hardcore fans, but the new fans must be like, who are these guys? Why have they got a logo that's made on MS Paint? And
which is very
where
common.
where do they come from? Yeah, it happens. Which I don't know. It's kind of cool, but I wonder if it would be better if that didn't happen. If it was just like you qualify once and that's it, you're qualified for the entire split.
For the split, yeah, that would almost
Same
make it
teams.
like more like little mini seasons or mini leagues kind of within each split. So you talked about double elim at the major, the highest stakes, the most just enjoyable as a viewer and consumable and exciting. I think it'd be interesting if all of the majors were the same, like across the board. But I do like, one of my favorite things about this new iteration of Rocket League esports is that it tests teams in different manners, right? Like I'm sure the Shock and Rizzo and Sath, you can elaborate on this, but like going through a Swiss stage, especially in RLCS X where there's 32 freaking teams, is very different than going through the double elim, at the very end where there was only 18 or whatever. And so I think it's just very different, and it tests teams in different environments, which I like. But I do understand, you got to make it presentable. You got to make it broadcastable, if that's a word. And so I don't know, but like I said, I'm very different. Where I don't care what they're playing. I'm just gonna enjoy watching these guys do flip resets.
We've seen teams just be like Swiss Kings because they know they have so many chances and aren't nervous.
I've actually got an even more harsh thing that I could mention before the EU.
Let's hear it.
Oh, so if we're talking like brutal formats, how about 2 regionals per split instead of 3?
Oof,
I don't hate that. Players talk about having a little more time. I actually saw some tweets recently about like having more time in between. I've also seen talks about how stressful trade windows are, right? Because like you have a little bit of time and you don't know who's moving and whatever else. And so
they were shorter at one point too. I'm pretty sure people were like complaining even more, and then like they gave them more time like this time around. Not like this split, but I think this season.
Maybe it would. And the reality is like we get a lot of regionals at this point, right? There's like 3 each splits, 9 in a season. That's quite a bit. The frequency is high, so maybe you could pull 1 or 2 throughout the season.
Actually, I'm curious. So, like for me, when I hear 2 regionals, like I shudder at the thought of having the majors be of such importance to make worlds and having the qualification for that only come down to 2 events.
Yeah.
Like as a viewer experience, like I feel like decreasing the sample size of series, honestly, like for cutthroat reasons, makes it very entertaining for viewers, but for players, I don't think that can strike a balance. And that I'm sorry. It's also curious, like for me, like for our team, right? We're used to like fighting in that middle of the pack range, and I feel like the more events, the better for us. But maybe like Sathi, if you can like show some insight. Obviously, G2 have been crushing. Do you feel like 2 regionals would take some of the variability out of you? Maybe like suddenly bombing out of event, making it hard on yourself? Would you prefer like 2 regionals just because you're playing so well? Like just get it over with.
I think just from the competitive standpoint, 2 regionals like would never make sense. Just like again, like the sample size is like way too small. But there still is that issue, like talking about viewership decreasing. Like it does feel like we are getting a lot of Rocket League, and sometimes it feels like meaningless Rocket League, even though it's not to the players, obviously, or the point standing. But it is a lot of the same stuff. And
the problem. Oh, sorry. Continue.
I was just gonna say, and just tying back even into the previous thing, with formats, like I do like that they, no matter if like Swiss is the best. I think a lot of us can agree on that, or it's one of the best. But I do like that they have the variety between the splits, because otherwise I think it'd also get boring as hell to watch Swiss every time.
I think 2 regionals would only work is if you still put in a 3rd event that's like a playoffs event, like the top 3 from the first 2 regionals make it through to the major, and then you play off for 2 more slots between the next 4. So you have like a big thing on that weekend still. But otherwise, with 2 events, you're going to have so many tiebreakers if you just like kept it the same format right now as well.
Oh no, that's it. That's easy. You just make regional 2 worth more. Easy.
Yeah, you'd have to make regional 2 worth more. Yeah,
just marginally more. You make regional 2 worth more because it's closer. So
I think the idea of having the top teams, like your top 3 or whatever, just like automatically be in and have the rest of them play in a playoff bracket when they're you have your 4 through let's say your 4 through 8 fight for the last 2 spots, or like your 4 through 7, whatever it is. I think that would be a pretty strong way to do the formats.
So the way I've talked about this with my chat for a while now, the downsides of 3 is that this regional. So I know it sucks for NRG fans that they lost, but it's not that bad. You know, you get 2 more chances, so it's like, oh well, whatever. You know, 1 bad finish, no big deal.
It's like
so many
Swiss.
teams have had 1 bad finish.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh well, it's
3 tries.
fine. We'll just get a decent run in one of these and win another one, no big deal. But if this was a 2 regional split and NRG just finished, what did they finish? 9th, 12th or something, or even
9th,
12th,
12th,
13th? Yeah, 9th, 12th.
They'd be screwed.
People would be there would be so much talk right now, so it would be so exciting.
There'd be so much pressure.
Yeah, there'd
Yeah.
be so much
Mhm.
pressure, but I actually don't think it would be fair to do, you know, if there's 2 regionals per split, you can't do double elim. That's like way too like cutthroat.
Oh
If
yeah.
I think, you know, right now we got 3 regionals that are all double elim. I think if it was 2 regionals that are Swiss into like something, you're probably looking at a more reliable way of finding out who the top 5 teams are, even in 2 tries compared to 3, because the format of each regional is better at doing that compared to just like making more of the same event that isn't actually that good at doing this, because it upsets are devastating. But then the other thing that is interesting is that, do you think there's a problem when teams have already qualified after 2 regionals? Is that like a bad thing for viewers, because they're like, there's less on the line, you know, that you like
You're
maybe
saying for
G2
the
qualify
major?
after the next one? Yeah,
Like
for the
they
major,
qual-
sorry. So
okay.
after
the
next
viewers, at
regional, G2
least.
probably qualify is, you know, regional 3 is like less interesting for
I
G2
I
fans.
don't think so.
It's
Okay,
not
it would be
problematic.
it would be less interesting for like the G2 fans specifically, but you would be excited. You know, you'd be like, oh, okay, you know, now we're just looking forward to the major because we already made it. Because like as a fan, as like a hardcore fan, you're stressed for the people you're watching. So like you'd much rather have that feeling of oh, they got it. And same with the players, they'd much rather have that feeling, oh, we got it. You know, we can just go in here and try our absolute best. But you know we already have it. I think it's still interesting enough to maybe somebody who doesn't root for a specific team, to where there's still
I
4
think
other slots
even-
to make the major, so you have to, you know, have those specific placements for those teams or whatever. Like this team has to do this. You have enough to where this team has to do this team has to do this, where it's interesting.
Even if you're if you're a G2 Omega fan and they've qualified, I think those people watching may not watch the G2 matches because they already know, or they may still, but there's way more onus on those teams that haven't qualified, where it suddenly becomes an elimination bracket down the bottom to get to the major. So those matches make up for that by being more interesting themselves.
Yeah, I think so too.
Also, I want to go
Interesting.
back on something Hootie said with, you know, formats for the majors being different, or being the same throughout, but being different to the regionals. What do we think about the potential next year where that has to happen because, in quotes, because we might have 20 teams at a major, because we bring in Sub-Saharan Africa, maybe give MENA another slot and stuff like that. It's going to have to be another format. How do we think we could potentially introduce more teams?
It's a good question. It's kind of hard to have an answer to.
Yeah.
Kind of
See,
the
I'm really
battle.
boring, so that this kind of thing is like what I do in my spare time. So I'll I don't want to like say anything. So I've actually already like theory crafted 20 team formats, 24 team formats of various levels of like brutality. So
Sorry.
I'm just really boring. I like doing that. So
Sorry, I was
Brutality,
half
oh my
half
God.
listening, so I didn't actually hear what I was changing my title. I didn't actually hear what you said.
The question would be, how would you introduce more teams into the major if we were to add Sub-Saharan African teams, maybe another MENA team, anything else in next season, and thus also changing how, obviously, the major formats would have to be different to the regional formats.
Because if you're adding those minor region teams, you add 1 more MENA and 2 Sub-Saharan, right? Like,
Yeah, and then probably another APAC team, right?
Right,
so
right,
APAC
okay.
North and APAC South would have its own.
so then it would go from
each.
16 to 20, right?
So
Yeah.
is that? I assume that means that regionals are not going to change. They're going to remain 16.
Yeah, I
16
don't think
teams.
you'd want to change that because it makes
Yeah.
it really awkward as well. Like the
Right.
the obvious solution based on the current solution at Worlds to going to 24 teams is you have a wild card, and then maybe the top 2 of EU and the top 2 of NA each skip the wild card phase of a major. That's like the easy solution, but I think there's a lot of different solutions out there.
Trust me, there's a lot of different solutions.
I'm thinking about plenty of them.
I'm not gonna bore you all with my solutions. It's gonna be boring. But yeah,
I
there's
can't
lots.
act like I have a solution like figured out, but I don't know. It kind of segues me into another idea where like I feel like the majors, like being as exclusive as they are, I don't know. I feel like it's a bit of a hindrance. Like I feel like it makes these problems with should this format be this cutthroat XYZ. I feel like it becomes more of a problem where if like we had more teams from every region at the major, then that's where like we said before, you can really make it cutthroat, and like make that the ultimate viewing experience. Like I feel like having the majors be so cutthroat also makes the formats feel extra like they feels like that brings the scrutiny on them when they're, to be honest, they're not like the worst formats ever. They're not. Like obviously we all want them to be perfect, but it's not going to be, which is why we criticize them. But like I feel like having it like it should be less cutthroat before getting to the major, and then once you get to the major, that's when it should be all on the line with all the best teams there. That just feels like the balance that needs to be struck.
The one cringe thing I hate about the majors being like that is that you don't have APAC versus OCE and OCE versus Sam and Sam versus Mina and like all the like that was the beauty of Swiss in the first one, is that you're going to get like a lot of interregional, but because the major is dominated by NA and EU teams, 10 out of 16 are NA and EU, you often end up just like in a double elim, you're going to see NA beat an OCE team, and then OCE go down to the lower bracket and lose to maybe an EU team.
I see. I never even thought about that. I like at a major, I would much rather see that. Like I wouldn't want to watch like
I want to see
NA versus OCE,
like,
but I want to see
everything
like
goes.
OCE versus like Sub-Saharan Africa or something. I guess not at a major,
Yeah.
but
I guess
Worlds,
that's also a separate problem, is the depth of all the regions and how you make it fair for everyone to have more teams there too.
That's why I like having a Swiss into like a really deadly format. So you get to see all the like inter-regionals, and you get like a cool ranking there, and then you go into a deadly format.
I just want to say the Worlds, I've said it before, Worlds format is POG. It's Swiss for the wild card, then it's double elimination groups, which is great because you get no rematches, no tiebreakers. Just 4 make it out. There's 8 teams in Group A, 4 make it out. No tiebreakers,
how
no
many
rematches.
teams go to?
The wild card is 16 teams.
16.
And 8 teams out of them will join the 8 other teams that have already qualified for the top 16. So then you've got the top 16, which are split into 2 groups of 8, and then you do a double elimination group. So there is just you just play a little double elimination bracket
16
in 2
team
different
double
groups.
or
No,
8
teams. 2 8-team double eliminations.
okay.
They called it Group A and Group B, but essentially it's 2 8-team double eliminations.
Yeah.
Which is good because you get no rematches, no tiebreakers, and the top 8 from that will go to the single elimination top 8.
Oh, that's
And
so
the teams,
good.
The 4 teams from
It
the
like
upper,
scales down. It's so beautiful.
the 4 teams to the upper will play against the 4 teams who made it through the lowers from the other group. So it's very natural. You know, you won your group undefeated. You're playing against a team who lost once. It's very balanced.
So good.
I think it's the perfect format. I think it's perfect.
That
Also,
actually was
That one.
Also, the wildcard tournament will be the most international tournament we've ever had, because it's only 6 NAEU teams, 10 non-NAEU teams, so 2 from each of every other region, and I can't wait to see like APAC versus SSA.
Really those will be cool. Those will be really cool.
It's probably going to happen as well because there's 2 SSA teams and 2 APAC teams.
Yeah.
So if they all go 0-2 at the start, then they're going to be against each other to see who goes 0-3.
Or it'll end up being SSA versus SSA and APAC versus APAC.
Oh no.
That would be rough.
That is possible. That is possible. That'd be a shame.
I guess like, would you guys feel comfortable with like the organizers like foregoing some tie-breaking mechanisms to try to force teams from international to play each other? Yeah.
Yes, I will confess. I have changed 7th seed to 6th seed and swap them in tournaments over round because I'm like, oh, that matchup's way more interesting. So let's just swap them. Swap them for the content because really,
It
like
makes
7,
sense.
6, like they're so similar. So let's just get the the interesting match.
I think on an international stage that makes a lot of sense. Not so much as like like in the domestic ones, yeah. But I think
Yeah.
internationally that makes a lot of sense.
That's never been done in RLCS though, by the way. It's only done in like my little tournaments that don't have the same prestige. So
Yeah.
I'm like messing
Important
around.
disclaimer.
Yeah, that is a very
Yeah, you're gonna
important
have,
disclaimer.
Reddit's gonna be coming for
You're
your
about to
head,
be on
Johnny.
Reddit. You're about to be on Reddit.
They're very by the book in RLCS.
hold on,
They
I'll-
never did that, but
I'll
I
read
would
this.
love that. I would love it if there's like a little like subheading if in the bottom like
Yeah.
4 matches it happens to be 2 APAC, 2 SSA, they will play against each other, not the same region.
Right. I agree.
They're not going to do that though, I bet. That doesn't go in line with what they do.
It's fair.
Should I change the rule book again, dude?
Okay, so I think the final thing we got before we wrap this all up is just a little bit about the EU regional, and I was hoping Rise would be here just
Yeah.
a
Rise
little
is
bit.
gone.
but
Unfortunately.
he went to bed, but I think it's like 3 a.m. for him. So
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah,
bad.
it is.
I can't
He's just
really
going to
blame
tell
him.
us that all the teams are trash and that
Yeah.
they're going to
Yeah,
win.
they
He's
don't
gonna,
win 20
I already
yards,
told
so-
you about delusional confidence. He's got
Yeah.
it unlocked.
Yeah. He's got that all figured out. Yeah, I definitely should have done this near the beginning. But for anyone that doesn't know, during the NA quals, obviously, or the NA regional, they were doing the EU quals, and 6 of the 8 teams that made the main event came from open quals,
That's crazy.
Crazy.
which I don't even know if that's happened. I'm
I
assuming
think
it
they've
hasn't.
got a
That's got to be
they've
a
got a
first.
word. No, they've got a word for that. I can't remember. It's like 5 letters, begins with a D.
Oh, not the
still
depth,
in my
not the
mind.
depth. Oh no, here we go.
But we see like the return of some old household names and like Freaky and Tadpole and
Yeah,
Fruity, how did
Fruity,
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 make
yeah.
it?
Fruity, Freaky,
I
and
got
Fruity
Tadpole
and
all
O.
made it back. Fruity went 3-0.
3-0. 3-0. They beat Misfits.
I'm
and
back.
Williams.
I'm
They
back.
got
You know that, Rad?
Elimination.
That's so crazy
it's
to me.
class.
And okay, also, wasn't this like Fruity's first regional that he played, like back into just playing in general, or was he
No,
trying
no,
to
he
qual?
was playing
think
all
he
last
tried
split,
that.
he just
oh, they were playing.
failed to qualify.
He
Yeah.
didn't
okay.
qualify for the qualifiers a couple times. Like he's been,
Mm.
yeah. This is a massive comeback. 3-0 as well over 3
yeah.
teams for like legit. Like
Because
they-
I'd always
they
go
really
into his
played
stream
well.
and be like, congrats on like top 32 EU.
Oh, did you guys watch? Did you guys watch the
Oh, God.
last? It's a great reminder in chat. Did you guys watch the last 30 seconds of BS Plus? Wasn't it BS Plus competition qualifying? Not even them last 30 seconds. Just their reaction to them qualifying. The German
yeah.
casters pop off. It is
Nah, I
amazing.
didn't.
That's awesome.
It's incredible. And yeah, Wolves also had a crazy last minute against
Mhm.
someone, which is quite funny.
I watched
Awesome.
the Misfits Guild series to make it. That one is a pretty exciting series. I love the team streams. I love when like the casters who want their team to win so bad just go crazy when anything happens. That's such an exciting viewing experience.
Oh yeah, because a
It's
lot
pretty
of
fun.
even like especially the smaller orgs, they don't even like have like content creators. They have like people from the org, like doing-
management and stuff.
Yeah,
yeah.
they have like management doing their streams, so you can really tell like they're just so happy to see them win and stuff. It's
Yeah.
really genuine.
Excited to see Liquid.
Yeah, they made it.
Yeah,
they had a
that's a big one as
crazy
well.
30-second,
Yeah.
almost 0-second goal moment, and managed to do it with 3 game 5s. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Whew. Wait, three
One of the-
3 game 5s. Jeez.
Yeah, 2 of them they lost their game 5s, but they won a game 5, maybe even an overtime against U Nation. Yeah, overtime, 1 minute overtime.
This is the first time that Liquid has made a regional, right?
Yeah.
This
With this
Liquid.
roster, yeah.
Yeah.
But with other rosters, they didn't get in this season either.
Oh really? Even
Yeah.
I'll link this. You're definitely gonna want to check this out. I don't know if it's easy to stream, but oh my goodness, it's funny. It is incredible. Yeah, I linked it in the Discord.
Yeah, hold on.
You guys
I-
will want to watch that later if not now.
I can share
think it's
my
like that.
screen if this lever loads. We can watch together.
It's so funny because right after the bit I timestamped, like one of the casters stops talking, then the other caster is like so on the edge of his seat that he comes in with OMG, and then he starts casting.
All right,
He
I'm
just
gonna
is-
switch
he's
over to
losing
this.
his mind. He's absolutely losing his mind.
Oh mein Gott, okay. BS Plus, gerade mit mir.
Oh, yeah.
Just instantly.
gearbeitet.
Have we go back to that.
Touchplay, aber kriegt den Ball nicht und somit jetzt wieder Louis P. mit der Defensivaktion.
Oh mein Gott, okay. BS Plus, gerade mit dem Backflip gearbeitet. Jetzt BS Plus sind all in. Alle Pokerchips liegen auf dem Tisch. Reese ist am Tor vorbei. Wo ist der Nachschuss?
Oh, that is so awesome.
Ja, wir haben es! PS Plus nach 2 Minuten und 50 Sekunden knallt die das Ding da oben rein! Und die
They're so
Latte, die
gassed.
ist natürlich ein
That's
bisschen
awesome.
glücklich,
That
aber
is
es
awesome.
muss so sein! Es muss so sein! Und somit ist PS Plus Competition Main.
Oh my god.
I
Yeah,
love that. I
clip.
love that.
Class.
Yeah, those are like the best best reactions, like the people when it's like, I don't know, when it's like brand new. It's like, I don't know, it's just a one-time thing. Or not a one-time thing, but like a first time it happens sort of thing.
Yeah.
And they're just so amazed.
And
I just
yeah,
love
new
hearing the
players, for
casting in other
sure.
languages. It sounds so awesome.
Oh yeah.
It does.
I heard as well. I first time I listened to this is like, wait, did he just say that he put in all the poker chips? Because he's like, he says poker chips in the German accent. I was like, wait, I think I know what he's talking about. They're going all in.
They're going all in.
It's
That's
all
funny.
in the poker chips. I was like, wait, I know what that means.
For the actual regional, now that we have the calls, is the seating out? I think it is.
I think
Yeah,
it
yeah,
they
they
tweeted
they
today.
tweeted it.
I gotta go to Wikipedia to look at
I've
it.
not even looked at the bracket yet.
There's nothing like too crazy, but Carmine Corp versus SMP Sempo would be fun.
Yeah, that's a
Oh
good one.
That's a
The
first
new
round?
Yeah.
Yep.
Cassio, Chaussette, and their new player, Exotic, who is another very good French player.
They're
Yeah,
all
not
good.
new as in new to
Supply of
competing,
them.
but yeah.
Misfits versus Vitality. Yeah, I like that first round.
Jinx.
How
So
how are BDS? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna, and we can talk about them if you guys want to, about like the roster specifically. But I was more thinking about like how and Turbo as well. Turbo, Mark, Ferry, they're like all benched, but they're under contract, so it's like this weird situation. So I was wondering how like others felt about that, because like I understand it, but it seems so shitty.
Yeah.
It's such a modern problem, right? Because
Yeah.
it used to
Yeah.
be that orgs didn't have enough power to do that.
Yeah.
Well, isn't it like people are all saying, they should just give him away for free because like they've got big
Mhm.
buyout clauses in the
Yeah.
all the communities. Like, just give him away for free. I'm like, I don't know if I agree about that. If I own an
Yeah.
org and I
It's
can
a
bad
get,
business
6 figures
strategy.
up
Yeah.
from a player, like,
Yeah.
sorry, but we're gonna go for the 6-figure sum because that's money. You got to make
Or-
money at the
yeah.
end of the day. They're not
And they're-
donating figures to other orgs. so they
Yeah,
compete.
Yeah.
And somebody came into my chat the other day, and I had to give him a little lesson on something real quick. But he came into my chat and he was like, if somebody wants a player, they'll buy him. And I was like, like you just buy him? Like
With whose
Yeah.
money?
if you're homeless, just buy a house. Like what is the logic?
No, that's bad.
Yeah. I hope for the sake of those players when they negotiated their original contracts, which is like an oversight a lot of times when you're actually like doing that, is getting like decent sub pay in. Otherwise they're like actually on like no pay right now or very little, and it's just like
Yeah,
they
like a
can't-
bench clause.
In a lot of
yeah.
contracts, if you're on the like substitute roster, you'll have like 10% of your normal salary, which is not going to be enough.
Yeah.
That's a really bad situation to be in.
Yeah.
And like, it feels like a damn shame. Like you have someone like Mark, for example, who's like, it feels almost criminal that he's not going to be able to play at Worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my exact thought process too.
What if they just suck with Seiko and they're like, Mark?
Mark,
That'd be
come back.
crazy.
What if they're just terrible? Or what if like Extra or Monkey Moon just start throwing and they're just like, Mark, you're back in, and then somebody else is benched. Like there's still a chance.
There's also illness and injury and stuff like that.
I'm gonna
but-
say that Mark's on 100% salary. I don't know if that's valid, but
Who
That would be
knows?
pretty
But
cool.
yeah, it's commonplace to have it be very
someone in
low.
Twitch chat said it.
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Fast.
supposed to really.
I agree. I now know.
Mark's good enough to be on
Well,
another top 8 team, so
I've
that's
also-
harsh.
In Rocket League, I don't know how common it is to have a bench clause, but I think it's less common. Like it's more common that you just have a no bench clause or substitute clause rather than there is a bench clause in your contract, from what I know.
Right. I can't
don't
blame the
know,
org, though. I can't
well,
blame them.
yeah.
They're not going to go and give Mark on a discount to one of the teams they have to play against. Like, nah, they don't want to go
Yeah.
and make other teams a bigger threat. That doesn't make any sense.
And they
That's not
know
the
we're
org's
moving
job
into the,
to do that.
they know we're moving into off season 2, where a lot more teams are going to be willing to pick up new players and shuffling
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah.
So I really hope that it's like a perfect storm situation where hopefully we don't have 3 very capable players sitting on the bench again in the future. It just seems like, and there was even rumors of Mark, interest of NA teams being interested in Mark, and they just couldn't make it work. So I'm sure there were people interested, but I don't know. Hopefully this is not a normal thing that we see. I want to ask a question on that because my stream went on like a 2-day rant about player loans. How do you guys feel about this player loan
I was gonna
situation?
bring that up too.
Oh my goodness, man. There were some people that were very unhappy with the fact that Semper will have the option for Archie to return after the end of the season. They just did not like that at all.
Really?
Yeah.
But
They were-
why did they have a problem with it? I'm
Yeah, for
curious
what
what was the
Okay,
main
look,
argument.
I spent 2 full days trying to understand, and I'm going to give you the best that I can give. I still am struggling.
Give
I'm
us the
ready.
cliff notes.
They basically, like, the thing that I could wrap my head around was they were upset because Endpoint had to give up Seiko, and they're like, Endpoint's not getting Seiko back. But Semper didn't have to give up anything. That was what
Money.
they were saying.
But they sold them.
Money was one of them was bought, the other was loaned. It's money.
I
they wanna
I know,
buy
I
our
know.
team.
It's a per
and
rent versus
Semper-
full price.
You don't
And
wanna buy him
Semper-
if you
Per
want
rent
him,
per
you know?
month.
It's cheaper.
Hey, Semper did lose something. They don't have Archie for this split, right? They have to replace him
Yeah.
with another player. And yes, they grabbed Exotic, who's a great player, and whatever else. But again, I'm trying to deliver something that I couldn't
Right.
really grasp. But there was definitely some people that did not like the loan situation.
What are the odds that they just completely disband their old Semper team and build a new one over an Archie anyway as well? Like,
It sounds like
Not
that's
just
a
them bringing
legitimate
it back.
option. That's why they wanted to hold
Yeah.
on to him.
That
But
would
they
be
kinda
very
obviously
smart.
couldn't do that. They couldn't do that for the points. So that
Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
honestly, in that sense, the loan would be a really smart move if they do it. But apart from
From-
that, like it's probably I'm guessing it would probably just be money. Like Archie maybe has a really big buyout, but loaning him's cheaper. So they're like, all right, we'll loan him.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can. They'll be like, we can do
From-
this like month to month, and then the other org was like, where did Archie go? I can't remember.
Endpoint.
Oh, Endpoint.
Endpoint.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
from my perspective, it was like a win all the way around. Like Archie gets to play on a team. He's not stuck, frustrated on a team that I don't know. Maybe they weren't gelling or whatever. He wanted to move. Who knows? But Endpoint gets a player to replace Seiko. Semper is still able to compete for Worlds. It just felt like, I mean, this is like best situation for everyone involved.
Ridiculous
you know-
win, unreal. The Endpoint lost Seiko, and somehow they still like look on paper fine. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
But that is crazy.
That's
That is seriously
ridiculous. How have they lost Seiko and everybody's like, nah, they'll be fine. That's mad. But it is
Yeah.
true though. They look actually fine on paper because that team. All right, we haven't seen them play yet, but
Archie's
see.
gross.
Some follow up stuff. Some of the things that people started doing was talking about like, well, what if there's an org that just locks up all these players and then decides to loan them all out? I was like, okay, we're just okay. We're drawing up these crazy
also, what-
hypotheticals.
Why would a player sign to the
that.
10-player org? Like,
Yeah. Bro's hopping on that
you're
train.
never
Yeah,
gonna
so
buy
we
players
came
in
up-
the future. You're just gonna rent them from the super org.
That's
who's
what
bought all
we
the players.
we said Vitality. Vitality's going to be like the big.
it's just a
massive
bank.
French
It's just a
org.
big bank of players.
Exactly. Vitality's the French bank, and you can just buy French players. they're gonna keep the best ones. They'll just loan out.
Oh, that's so funny. You
That's
can't own them. You
hysterical.
can only loan them.
Is anybody here actually like dislike the whole renting or what is it? Loaning thing? Not renting.
It's
I
just,
also
it's just
think the loan
business.
thing-
Absolutely not.
I think
It's
the
just
loan thing
business.
is like going to be extremely unique. I don't think that's going to happen all
Yeah,
that often. It
not
doesn't
that
make
often.
sense in the first split, right? Like it definitely seems like a last.
it was a third
last
split,
trade
like
window.
real
Yeah.
thing, right? Like,
Mhm.
You're stalling.
That's
we-
smart 'cause
yeah.
they can keep their points, play out the rest of the season, but then also have that star player at the end of the season to
Yeah.
start the next season again.
Yeah.
That's actually I've not even heard this. before
Especially if
today.
he's
That's
on like a 2-year deal, like a org probably doesn't want to just pay that buyout, like just in
Right.
general. It's probably just much higher than it would be, in general.
Yeah, I see a question. Archie is only on loan for the remainder of this season.
Right.
yeah.
Wait, is that
think-
true? He's
I
only
believe
just till the end of the
what-
season.
thought I saw that
they
on an
announced.
announcement,
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
but it could change, obviously.
Yeah, they could obviously
Um,
complete the sale like at the end of the season if that works out, which is also dope. Like that's a really cool aspect of it. Archie had some
Archie could
time
be
to-
like a rent to own.
yeah, at least to own.
Lease to own. That's crazy to even think about.
Yeah, no, my
I
only
like- I
real
like
problem
those.
with these deals has been that people can't play, like the sub situation.
That is
more
rough.
than anything else.
Mhm.
Like this has happened in the past. Rizzo, you might have been there. Was JNAP stopped from moving to like NRG or something like that? I remember like G2 had a big.
Yeah,
That
he
year?
was stopped.
out.
He was stopped from moving to the org who shall not be named. the bait org, the baiting org.
But also,
The
he
best
got to
social
still
media
play,
manager.
right? Like nothing got destroyed.
Yeah, no, he was fine. Like there was nothing like yeah, he was just still like on contract with you. They just blocked the move because they wanted to I'm pretty sure they just wanted to buy him out or something. But it was like instantly, it was just instantly shut down, like it wasn't even talked about, sort of thing. Copium 9. Yeah, that one.
Well, Cloud9 are getting more engagement now that they don't have a Rocket League team than they ever did with a Rocket League team.
It's ridiculous.
It's free exposure. Thanks, Rise.
They've been farming for years.
Oh,
He
Abjack.
actually is.
Abjack with the verified account got so many people. I was streaming that morning. And I cannot tell you how many people came in so excited.
People
Cloud9
still are
is in,
coming into
Cloud9
my
is in.
stream saying like, "How do you feel about Cloud9 being back?" And I'm just like, man, it's been like a week, huh? I don't know.
So funny.
I was gonna ask about like, I feel like there's a lot of talk about how like, it feels like a lot of people believe BDS isn't gonna be as good with Seiko actually.
Really? Who says this?
You're thinking that, or others?
No, not me.
Twitch chatters.
Oh, the chatters.
I just feel like there's a general sentiment I see when I see just conversations about it that like there's some sort of realistic or good chance that they don't even live up to what they already were.
People
I
were
find
saying
that hard to
Rise
believe.
said that too, and Rise said it multiple times.
Right. Yeah.
I speculated this on my Sunday watch party yesterday. Like I don't know. I thought the opposite. I thought people were saying, "Oh well, that's an upgrade," but I was like, I don't know why people are rushing to say it's an upgrade. They might be worse. They might be.
I think
don't
it's
think they are.
I think it's like a fear thing. Like they made such a ballsy move. Mark
It is
Mark is on the bench now. And
It's so similar to FaZe. They just
Yeah.
pissed everybody off with the move, and I feel
Yeah.
like people are going to be very critical.
I think
if things
yeah,
aren't
exactly.
perfect.
I think that's why. If they get like
That's
top
fun.
3 finishes, consistent top
Yeah.
3 finishes, nobody's
not
gonna be
enough.
happy. Yeah.
I feel like it could be a phase situation because you've upgraded a player. I think Seiko's a better player than Mark individually, but
Yeah.
they play very different roles in the team, and that's like Illusion and Sypical. Illusion, was doing all the dirty work for that team, and Sypical don't want to do that. So now Seiko probably doesn't want to do what Mark does. Does he just want to like, I don't know, cut rotation all the time and make awkward touches? He wants to flip reset on everything and air dribble, he wants to follow up more. I don't know who's gonna do what Mark did. They're probably just gonna be more conventional, more readable, and be.
Yeah, it's gonna be like a whole new BDS, like a
I feel
different
like
play
they're gonna
style.
be
With the
same
potential for more
level.
individual outplays that
Right.
might make up for it. Yeah.
I think they're gonna be the same level, but a very different team stylistically.
Yeah. My like instinct about it was like I think they'll probably be about the same. Like saying like it's a huge upgrade or like they're gonna obviously be worse is just the wrong way to think about it probably until we see for sure. Like
Yeah,
Well, I
it's not an
saw-
obvious thing.
I saw a Reddit post when Sypical got added to FaZe saying that they need to have that Sonics should introduce salary caps, and it's going to be unfair that they have the 3 most expensive players and that FaZe are going to win everything. And I found it ridiculous. But I want to ask, I guess you, Shock, at the moment, has it gone to a spot where like different players on the same team are earning wildly different amounts of money? Because for my entire experience has been everybody's on the same salary for the most part.
I can't speak because I don't know the actual numbers on other teams like specifically, but it is my understanding that it's still very much commonplace that everyone on the team earns about the same amount of money, maybe a little bit of variation depending. Like I think like you know, you
Content
bring
creators and big followings.
right, yeah, they might earn a little bit more.
Like a newer player, like this fresh signing, kind of giving him
Yeah.
a chance, and he's unproven, short contract, probably won't earn so much.
Yeah, there's I'm sure Seth, you can probably speak on it too, but yeah, I think it's much more common that everyone is on the same salary or just barely apart from each other. Like that just is the normal thing. There's no like, and besides like this whole like superpower because they're the most expensive players. Like that's another. I was talking about undervaluing and overvaluing way earlier. Like people undervalue what team synergy does for a team and overvalue what individual skill brings to a team. There's a way to value both the right way, and often the undervalued part is how much synergy and play style becomes such a factor at the highest level because you see like you know, in the last finals, G2 and SSG, right? In terms of actual skill of the players, it comes down to being very close, especially on any given day. Like someone can be slightly outperforming another, but the way that like team synergy is what breaks that barrier into a win or a loss. So it just becomes very undervalued.
On that, you just made the roster change. Do you when you pick up a player, when you pick up Hoxer, is there more importance on having immediate synergy with that player, or are you more focused on having like mental, mechanical, or skill synergy, and then going, okay, we'll turn it into like a good team afterwards?
For us, what we were looking for specifically was someone who was willing to play a style that is team friendly. Some players play a style that is like selfish is the wrong word, but a style that suits themselves, and then you guys play around me. Where we wanted someone who makes our team a 3-man unit. And what Hoxer does is he's very talented at doing both things. He can play for himself in a given moment. He can play for the team in a given moment. He's very versatile. So like what we were looking for was someone who's versatile and knows how to play for the team while also being to, you know, take the reins if he's playing really well, something like that. So yeah, I think we were looking for synergy more than individual skill. Actually, it's just a bonus that he's been playing as well as he has.
I think just going back to the contract thing on like different levels and stuff. What Shock said is right. Like, there's no wild. I haven't heard of any. There's a few maybe of like wild variants in payments, but a lot of the teams or a lot of the players are on like the same or close. But it really just depends on the timing of like when you're signing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because I think in recent times there actually have been a few instances of actually some like big variation.
Yeah.
In a couple players purely because of the timing and maybe like hype
Timing
around their
and
name.
Well, if a player's been on a like team for years and they've got multiple raises, multiple like salary adjustments, and then a new player gets signed out of the bubble scene, there's no way they're gonna be like, oh yeah, you're gonna the same as this veteran. No, you're gonna like sometimes you might, but some of these guys are coming in for very little
you'd
money.
be surprised.
In
I
the
don't know. Well,
pa- in-
okay, I
no,
know.
in the-
Some players.
Yeah.
You know, it depends, I guess, on how in demand certain players are coming out.
Yeah,
Of the bubble
that's
scene. But
that
some of
doesn't
them,
matter. to
some
most.
teams, some players are coming out and they're very in demand. Lots of competition for that players. Obviously, yeah, you got to pay them or else they're not going to sign. But other players, they'll really feel like this is a big chance. That org's taking a chance on me. They'll sign any dotted line. They're like, give me the contract I'm signing. I just want to play. So there's like big differences there sometimes.
Go ahead, Matt.
I just think as you go up the ladder in teams and you get to those like top 3, top 4, top 5 teams, if they're signing a player directly from the bubble, you should expect that they'll be making the same or more because most of the time, again, it's just a demand thing.
Yeah, they only want to pick up the absolute best player available.
They have to be nasty.
That player, if they're getting picked up by a top team, they're probably being looked at by multiple teams.
But it used to be
options
a lot where, even if a top team was getting like a younger new player, they would still have that like quote unquote rookie contract. But I think that's a lot less common now.
A lot of times you'll see like quote unquote rookie contracts on speculative players, like in that lower tier. They'll start in a lower and they'll have incentives built into their contract to see if the team performs at set expectations and their salary comes up to what the other players are on. That's something that's kind of common too.
That's what newer players need to look out for as well. They don't really need to like get onto the big salary from the get-go all the time. Some players are like really that's all they care about is the salary they're getting monthly, but actually incentives can be worth a lot more than an immediate salary raise that's kind of flat, just like stays like at that level, and there's no incentive. Like a contract that's got more monthly salary but no incentives isn't worth as much as a slightly lower one that has incentives to way surpass that one.
Right.
But that's I think sometimes it's hard to think about that when you're young and you're in your teens and you just want to get the bigger salary immediately. But yeah, incentives can be pretty good. They can actually be more valuable.
But the game is variable as Rocket League. I will say that the flat salary that you're guaranteed is a nice security to have mentally, though. Like it's so easy. Like I don't really like the term peaked on, like, but like it's very common to use. But like in Rocket League, like if you feel like you got peaked on, like it's and you're like, well, you're not on that guaranteed salary, that might be extremely frustrating. Yeah, at least I have that behind me. But I don't know, that's not really necessarily something that I think about too much. But initially, like not a long time ago, but like maybe a little over a year ago, like something like a base salary that I really respected was something that I really appreciated. Matt, dude.
Same.
Sorry, this is an inside joke that we're forgetting about. I'm sorry.
The other thing here is that so Vitality grabbed Radosin from Williams Resolve, and Williams Resolve was like, I think they were fighting around like 5th, 8th. If anybody can correct me.
They were like 10th or something in EU.
They had some stinkers, but they had some good performances too.
Some stinkers.
They had a couple of top 4s. They were 12th, but they're not too far up. Well, 11th. Before this event, actually, I think they would have been pretty much 10th equal ish.
Yeah, 10th. So they were 10th in points, and then they lose Radosin, and now they did not make the main event, and they are. I think they went like I don't know if it was 0-3 or 1-3, but it was not good. Or maybe I'm thinking of heroic. Might be thinking of heroic, but again, just to bring that
always catching strays.
So many strays.
They were 1-3.
1-3. Yeah, they were 12th coming into this split, but they were 30 points behind 11th, 50 points behind 10th.
Oh, okay.
You know, honestly, they were within 180 points of Vitality. Actually, less than that. They were actually like, you know, just one good event away from fighting for a wildcard spot, like just one good event. But that's how close like that, you know, 7th to 12th in EU was and still is. It's very, very close. Then you got a top 6 that's a bit further away because they all made majors.
It's not easy when you have to involuntarily give up one of your better players and
the
also
best player,
have to
the best player on
work
that team.
with like creating a new roster and the problems of how long that takes to get up to speed. So it's not surprising to see them drop out, but that pretty much costs them any chance of the major.
I mean,
awards.
0-0 Nation are out in that qualifier. Guild are out in that qualifier. They just picked up Dorito, who's like pretty nuts, and Navi are out. Like, there's a lot of good teams who are just out in the EU qualifier.
Yeah.
And it's always happening. Every single EU qualifier, a team who have like looked like a top 8 threat in a previous regional are just out because there's too many teams that are just a threat.
I do have to ask because I feel like everyone uses it as a kind of like a meme topic, but I'm actually what becomes the difference between when you're watching Rocket League, whether it's depth or inconsistency? What's the difference? Like, I know what the difference between the two terms means. I mean, like when you're looking at teams play versus NA and EU, what are you like? Well, that means inconsistency, and this result means depth XYZ. Like,
I look more like, is this team just outplaying them, or is the team that are losing just outplaying themselves? If they're just like losing because they're playing badly, that would be inconsistency. But honestly, like you look at the teams who qualified, some of them might be like unknown players, but the new team they like won a couple of off-season tournaments. Like they just they just put themselves together. Now they're good. Team Liquid, obviously valid. You all heard the reaction of BS Plus competition qualifying. Like
they earned that.
I don't know. If you watch these games, there's just these teams are all good. Like they're all good enough. If they make a regional, you're not going to write them off and be like, oh well, they're going 0-3. Yeah. Like they're all actually
that's what I was
threats.
Gonna say. When they get into the regionals too, you get to see them against the top dogs, and it's not like they get absolutely clowned on every time, you know.
As a caster, that was always the difference. Like every time I've casted so many like NA regionals and EU regionals now, And I never feel like it really matters too much if I know everything about the NA team that just got into their first regional, because they never get past like round 1 or 2. They're always out. But in EU, any team that make it in, you better know who they are, because they could get top 8. And there's been so many teams who have made it top 8 and they look like they're popping off. It's like taking names.
But
I don't know,
Johnny,
I feel
how
like
can
there's
you
just more
say
good
that's not
players.
inconsistency from the top 8?
It's just like I trust my eyes. I'm watching the
Yeah.
gameplay. I'm like I
trust
what I
my
see
eyes.
looks like this looks like good Rocket League, and I feel like I've got a good eye for good Rocket League. Because I said for the longest
Yeah.
time Mino is good, and everybody's like, you're an idiot. I was like, I don't believe you. I think they're good. They look good. You can't. That's all you can trust sometimes. They look good, so I
Yeah.
think they're good.
I think if you see a team with like that looks like they have some sort of system in place. I always thought in NA the Zookeepers or Accelerate. I'm like, that's depth right there. They're always gonna be in the same spot, but
No, we used to play them in a rival series,
Yeah.
and they take every series to 5 and lose.
Yeah.
Like they provided some serious depth. I like to see that they've actually continued to improve a little bit though.
Hey,
Just as
in
of recent.
the spring split, they have more points than NRG.
that's
Oh.
true.
There you go.
Wait, didn't they
They
have the
have
same
a higher
amount of
chance
points?
of making the major though.
They
Yeah,
went
they may
one
have
further.
the same amount.
They went.
Did they
I
go
just
one
saw-
further than
I just saw
NRG?
that tweet. That tweet.
Wait,
that,
no, they finished.
They
10th.
definitely finished the same spot as NRG.
Yeah, it's like
100%.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
a crew has more points.
Accrue did, yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Well, okay,
I
so
thought that was Akron until I saw. Oh wait, it's just Vibrance.
wait, okay.
Interesting.
This is a good question then, actually.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many of you guys saw like the Energy series or like say like the V1 Accrue series. Is that V1 playing bad or is that NA depth?
Wait, V1.
Well, V1 reverse swept.
Yeah, but that's a close series. Or so like, and did Accrue play well or did V1 play down?
But
I
they
think that's
won.
depth.
I think V1 definitely didn't perform at their best. They weren't at their peak this weekend, but yeah. I mean, Accrue are like one of those weird teams
Yeah.
because they've done this before. They're not a complete. They are an example of NA depth because they're a team who, when they get in, they're not a team that you're expecting to just go out 0-3 and do absolutely nothing. Like, or 0-3 in a Swiss, or just like get eliminated one round. If they go deep, if they go like 2 or 3 rounds into a bracket,
Arsenal
are gonna
says
be like,
inconsistency.
"Whoa."
You say depth. Arsenal says inconsistency.
I'm always
For
trying to
V1?
back
From
up
V1.
NA.
don't
From
know.
V1.
I'm
I
always
mean,
trying to
I
back up
could-
NA, but
they
that-
beat
that
complexity.
is
I don't know. I
depth.
think that team's legit. Vibrants are like.
Yes, they are.
I think they're legit. I rate
I,
them.
I
Accrue's
think
a good
they're a good
example of
team.
that.
It's taken them a long time. Like they've been here since the beginning of RLCS 21-22.
Yeah.
Getting into
And they had a
top
slow
16.
start.
And they were constantly like falling short. But like you could see they had the potential. Whether they'll get there, like they're obviously still not there, right? Like especially in a double elim bracket to be able to make a long run yet. But I think if you look at the individuals, and I really like Fifi's mechanics, so
John, we don't
they
talk
have the
about
chance
original.
to, if they can get it together and get some play style. that works for
So
them.
this is a like a conversation I like to have because like my initial thought is that that shows for both regions. This isn't like an NA versus EU thing. This is a depth versus inconsistency thing. Like a series like that shows more inconsistency than depth. Like it's very easy to everyone wants to hype up their own region, right? It's like whenever the top teams all dominate. Look how consistent our region is. Our top teams are so good. And then when upsets happen, inevitably, it's like, wow, look how deep our region is. Instead of inconsistency, it feels like inconsistency. This is why I lean towards the inconsistency side. Inconsistency is so inherent in what Rocket League is. It's so hard to play the same like just as well as you did the day before. Like I would argue nearly impossible. Like there's almost no way you can guarantee it. And like it's just part of the game. So I feel like the inconsistency versus depth thing kind of loses a lot of its luster when you consider how ingrained and impossible it is to avoid how inconsistency affects Rocket League.
But
That
the real
being said,
question, Shock, is
consistency is still like
which
a
region is
scale,
deeper?
right?
Which region is deeper, Shock? If the 20 ever like every single time that there is a regional this season, if you took the team that came dead last or like in the didn't qualify, all the teams that didn't qualify through the qualifier, closed qualifier that is, to the main event, like all the EU teams and all the NA teams, who wins?
I would make that an
I
event.
guess we'll never know.
That's an event. Who wins? Who wins? Buccos from the Winter Split Regional 3 from North America, or SK Gaming in EU?
I
They
hate
both went
Buckos.
0-3.
Splashy, isn't
Who's Buckos?
Who's
Splashy,
SK and who's
T-Bar,
We can't have
Shm-
Splashy representing
Splashy,
that.
T-Bar, and
No,
Schmack.
no.
Okay, that team's not even like a
Or
regular
Fruity,
close
Econ, and
qualifier
Carrion,
to
who just
say.
3-0'd a qualifier.
That's
like,
the point, though. That's the point.
Like
Yeah,
Those
but
teams
they
are
got
in similar
lucky.
positions.
the
You got
argument
lucky.
just because the tier changes, the argument that I just stated doesn't change. So like the inconsistency of our bubble teams or versus EU bubble teams versus how deep they are and they beat each other all the time, it doesn't change from what the top teams do to what they do. It's the same thing at a different tier of Rocket League.
Do you think
play.
the only difference is that EU is more inconsistent?
I don't think EU is more inconsistent.
So what do you think it is?
I think both regions are equally inconsistent.
So EU is deeper.
No.
I think it's undoubtedly.
I
think EU is definitely deeper.
I
think
think I wouldn't say confidently that one region is either deeper or more inconsistent than the other.
I think there's a deeper talent.
I think
pool in
EU's
Europe.
deeper.
I think
Yeah.
EU is deeper, and I think an even more like important thing is that the EU like teams on the bubble are more fearless than the NA teams. Because I watch the NA teams who like scrape in through a qualifier, and I watch them play. They're just playing not to lose a lot of the time. But EU, they're like going for throats. Like a lot of these players are just they don't care. They are actually just they trying to take everybody down.
I think
They're not scared of like an NRG or a G2. They're just like, yeah, we're better than like they've
we
got
need a
that
dream
rise
hack.
mentality.
We need a 128 team dream hack.
I agree. But
28.
on a completely like very serious note, like I would not be opposed to conceding that EU is deeper. I'm not going to act like I do know or do not know though, because I don't watch enough EU like day 2s and day 3s to say for sure, and I don't have the experience playing against them, so I'm not going to act like I know because I don't. But like it seems like the general consensus is that EU is a little bit deeper. I guess then does that mean that NA's top teams are stronger in general?
I think NA has consolidated talent a lot more than EU. Not just this season, but
that is
every
very hard
season.
for you to do, though. I'll say that.
Yeah,
Because of the
language-
nationality and
barriers,
like
yep.
languages,
yeah,
and
yeah.
also the players are just more toxic on average. So
In EU, so they all hate each
yeah,
other.
yeah. But yeah, it's harder to consolidate talent when there's so many rivalries.
It's unfortunate because we're never really going to be able to test this unless we get some 128 team DreamHack lands.
We need
Well,
it.
like when we
Please.
did have DreamHack, though, there were more like EU teams, like just random bubble EU teams sneaking in late in tournaments. Than in
Echo
NA.
Zulu.
Echo Zulu did it. I
Iconic
forget. Oh,
run.
I wish I could remember off the top of my head all the teams that did it. 'Cause, I should know
Well,
this better. but-
there's no real
There's
point
lots
to
of
all of
upsets.
this because like what Turbo said, like there's all this drama that we're talking about, inconsistency, depth, but why bother? G2 is just gonna keep winning.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
Just the
That's
most dominant team.
That's another reason why I think that the majors shouldn't be as exclusive as they are. There's way too many talented players in every region to exclude them. Like,
Oh yeah, I feel that. I really wish
Like-
just the events were bigger.
yep.
Apex Legends had a 40
Oh.
team event
Yeah.
this weekend, and that was like equivalent of a major for us
Mhm.
too. So like, as they have a
40
worlds
team.
afterwards.
I also heard some really
Wow.
bad
Yeah,
shit
did you
about
see
that.
how EA handled that though? Oh my
They like
God.
didn't
I have
fly
no idea.
certain players out and stuff.
That's
Yeah.
really bad.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
yeah, they
What?
weren't originally gonna pay for them, and then like I think they got there, and like the PCs were horrible at
Mhm,
first.
yeah,
it was
I heard about that.
rough, but
Yeah.
yeah, they at least the idea was there.
Yeah.
The idea
It's a
was there.
thought. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it also depends on if like Psyonix would want to pay the money to fly out that many people.
Oh no, they don't
That is
have
also
to. If
cool.
they set up a DreamHack, they can fly out, 8 teams that make a qual in each region.
Yeah.
Set up smaller
Yeah.
quals and
Just like they used
just
to.
have everybody
guess
else
people
fly
would
out
jump
and say good
anyway,
luck.
yeah.
That's what they did for the other ones. Except
Yeah.
it was like 2 teams, not 8.
to what basically ends up being like a free wildcard stage, and then you do your like big crowd event afterwards
Yeah.
potentially.
I feel like even just like raising it from like a major from like 16 to like 24, like it just seems like that'd be better. Like one, you could get more international matchups, more looks at more international teams. Like it just increases like the diversity of what you're seeing, which is an exciting viewer experience, and it also continues to like I guess this is also coming from a place of like Rocket League as your job is something more than more than just like, oh, it's just my day job. Like losing and winning in Rocket League, especially when it's your job, can almost shift your entire like mood and like you're just like how you feel about yourself like as a person, just like all the time, because you're so invested in it. And like for like once you're like you get that one bad performance in a regional, right? How ruined are you for the next few events because you know you can't make it because it's so exclusive and regions that are so talented. You know,
It also
it's
hurts your seeding
devastating.
too, so it's a double whammy. You lost all your points, and you lost all your seeding. Ground Zero last split in OCE came 7th, and even though they got a 3rd and a 1st, couldn't make it because there's only 2 slots there. It was only Furia had a 7th, and they had to go 1st and 1st, and still came as the 2nd seed for Sam.
Yeah, it's just like it's not it's easy to kind of gloss over, but like being a professional trying to like make it in some, it feels like it almost feels like to an extent like also like this kind of feeds into something I've been thinking about as well, is like for like the fall in Swiss you couldn't be on the mainstream of Rocket League unless you were a top 8 team for that event. Like you feel like Psyonix almost doesn't care about you, like that you don't make up part of their ecosystem. Like
because of the lack of the day one stream.
Yeah, it's like it. Not to say it is or isn't true, but that's just what it feels like to you as a player. Luckily, I get to find myself, like, except for last split, like over the past years, I've been able to find myself mostly involved at least a little bit in that top 8 area. But I'm trying to think about like teams that are trying to come up. Like we were talking about a crew, right? They don't get to be like they don't get to be in the spotlight a lot, and that is something that's like it makes you feel like you're kind of worthless to the scene or to like the people who are putting on the events for you. And there's a certain part of that that's like obviously science can't do that for everyone. Like that's an unreasonable thing to ask as well. But like I'm just surprised that just it's like it feels like the focus is just in this exclusive set of teams, and that when you don't really have to care about anyone else.
I think that like really hits home for me because OC Sam and Mina don't even have any prize money outside of the top 8. So you have all these teams that have worked really hard. They've had to play 3-4 days just to get to this point. They get like to a game 5 overtime and fail to make a top 8 and they get nothing. But if you make top 8, then all of a sudden you're getting $1,800. And I think even in those regions, there might only be 6-7 good teams, but you ended up being against the best team in the region who went down from the lower upper bracket, or you end up against a really, really strong team. And on the other side of the bracket, you're up against they're up against like a team that are in 9th, 10th or something. And that's the difference between $1,800 for those teams. I want to see just even like a little bit of money spread to 9 and 16 for those regions for the same reason. The players don't feel like you're really part of it because you don't get onto the stream. The stream wants to watch the best matches, the highest quality teams, and then you also didn't get any money after playing all this time. And you have teams that literally been in every single top 16 and have not earned a single dollar across the year.
Right.
So do you think it's like they need to add more money into it, or do you think they should just spread it thinner?
Well, I would be happy in those regions for there to be $300 per team at that level. So you're at least like feeling like you're getting something.
Oh,
it's like this,
okay.
it's like a token. It's even just a token of gratitude.
So like
it's the
a
same
9 through 16 all just gets 300.
Yeah, like for a long time, I pushed when OCE in the old system, had you either went to Worlds or you didn't. And if you didn't go to Worlds, you didn't get like an RLCS title because it was technically external to RLCS. So there were players like Dumbo who came 3rd, even including multiple Game 7 overtimes to go to Worlds and didn't quite make it. And he never, ever got a blue title, despite coming 3rd like 6 times.
Multiple times, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
And for him, that was the saddest thing. He made all this money, like not like great money because it was like OC 3rd place, but he made all this money, and he's big thing coming off the career is like, I just wish I got a blue title.
Yeah, I feel like the best way I can put it is that in order for there to be top teams, there needs to be mid-table teams, and for there to be mid-table teams, there needs to be quote unquote bottom tier teams. It's kind of like a negative connotation on that, but you know what I mean. Like there needs to be an ecosystem in place, and at the moment, I know Psyonix is really like trying their hardest. Every season's a learning experience, and I feel like the learning experience to come from this season is that this exclusivity. It was like a lot of teams could participate in the regionals and stuff beforehand, and there's a lot of broadcasting of them. I feel like it went a little too far to the exclusivity side, and not enough players, especially in quote unquote minor regions like OC or SAM, which I feel like are kind of coming up into becoming more major. We've seen their good performances. Like it came a little bit too far to that exclusivity side. It needs to come back a little bit.
Well, I think we can all agree it's 100 times better than pre-RLCSX when it was
Absolutely.
Like, you play, if you make it in the
Oh,
top
yeah.
8 of a double elim, you're in, and if you don't, wait 6 months, maybe you can try again.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. There's
they-
even,
they've
like,
learned
At least you
Elimination.
feel like you have constant chances.
Yeah.
It absolutely cracks me up when bubble players on Twitter are like, bring back RLRS. I'm like, bro,
Oh man.
you got more
Yeah, then you
chances
don't
this
get to
month
play.
than you did all year in the
Yeah.
RLRS
Yeah.
format.
That's interesting though, because at some point, like, there's got to be a balance, like you said. But if people are less interested, I think that it's a content issue that Rocket League's gonna have now, because majors are so hype. Majors are so
Yeah.
exciting. LANs are so exciting with a crowd. Then now you go back to online regionals, and people are like, I'll just wait till the next major, because
Yeah.
that was actually, that raised my bar for what I consider acceptable Rocket League esports content, and regionals aren't really hitting that spot, which they can't because it's online. So now that it's online, online is not doing that for many people. Like Psyonix and Rocket League are in a weird spot where if they want to get more viewers online, they have to make it more, there has to be more on the line every time any two teams are playing. The quality has to be as high as possible. But like what you're saying is also true. There needs to be support for the bubble scene. So
Right.
how do you do that? How do you do
It's
both
a
of those things?
difficult
It's very,
question.
very, very
Yeah.
tough, because you've got to try and maximize and improve the quality of the content on the Rocket League channel to the highest level, without
Well,
just, like you said, showing the same 8 teams over and over.
it kind of sucks, but I feel like that's just the reality of trying to compete to be like the best in the world at something. Like,
Yeah.
like,
Absolutely.
they're not going to reward everybody. Like they're not going to
does
just start
feel like-
rewarding the 17th through 48th team. It's like
Right.
they want the number
It does
one.
feel like the
Has to be
natural
some cutoff.
progression. Like the next step definitely feels like to invest in that tier 2 level of everything. We've added new regions, got international playback. It definitely feels like the next step to continue elevating Rocket League as an entire esport. Like you said, build that ecosystem is to invest in that tier 2 level of things.
If I recall,
Uh,
Shice tweeted about something like that.
Yeah, he
uh,
did. Yeah.
Previous
What
to
did he
the
tweet?
last split, like that they were trying to work with
'Cause
community orgs to do stuff like that.
There was so much buzz about it.
Yeah.
People were, I mean, believe it or not, the Rocket League community was complaining.
That's
I
crazy.
wonder if that has to be, because I think the difficulty is, how do you make the content as good as possible while also supporting the bubble scene? What if the bubble scene support isn't through Rocket League esports
Yeah, yeah,
content,
yeah.
and it's like all behind the scenes? Or like, what if there's more support behind the scenes? Would that make it would that make the situation for those players better, or is their desire just to be on the
Support
big
in what
stream?
way?
I don't think it's on the big stream. I don't think that's the desire at all. Okay, so like for me personally, like, and everyone who's kind of come up at some point, like, I've been very quickly like playing very well, like very hyped around. I'm talking specifically about season 9. Like, I've been on that spectrum of it, and then I've been also on the spectrum of like literally right after the off season, like Sathy was on my team. We couldn't win a single series for shit. We've been on both sides of that immediately, and like it's not about being on the mainstream or like having a number of viewers watching you. The support behind the scenes is honestly I think the compromise, like where Psyonix doesn't
Okay.
have to like stream every match and like put you on the mainstream, because that's boring for viewers. Like that
Yeah.
there does need to be that balance. Like it's more so support behind the scene. Like that would be the important part.
Well, what do you mean by support behind the scene? Like what would people even be looking for?
More like tier 2 events, lands outside of majors, like you know how DreamHacks work.
DreamHacks, yeah.
Like
It seems
those
like
kind
that's
of
what they were
things.
aiming
So
for. with
so
the
just
field.
community tournaments in general.
community tournaments, with not they don't have to be
Like-
huge prize pools, but something.
Yeah, and like real events, not just like another online.
So
Right.
party for
let me
the
ask.
million times.
So like what range of teams are you talking about specifically? Like 17 through
Yeah,
32, that range?
yeah. Outside
And
of
I feel like the open signups at DreamHacks, are really cool too for people, to try to compete as well. Like
So it's
obviously,
LANs
Turbo makes a
specifically.
good point. Turbo makes a good point that COVID really did fuck it up.
It did, yeah. So is it LANs? Because you said they're not just more online events. So is it LANs for the like bigger like LANs? That would be the missing part right now.
Yeah, that's kind of tied into like the exclusivity I was talking about.
Well-
Go ahead, Matt.
What was that one tournament that like happened where it was a bunch of tier 2 teams at a LAN? Was it like the world? No. Gosh. It was like before we even got Dapper. It was like a tournament that we wanted to play quals for. Our third didn't show up. but like a bunch of teams were at it. I think like in the
Having
finals.
a hard time remembering.
But you know what I'm talking. It was like Alpha Kep's team was in the final, and Astro's team was like the other.
Are you talking about Boost Cups?
No, World Gaming. I think is that it? Was
Oh.
that it?
Is Rogue
Yeah,
That
yeah.
sounds right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that
James
tournament.
Bucket's
Because like
World
that
Series.
was like a tier 2 LAN, and I
Yes,
think it
yes.
got good viewership. And
No, that's hype for someone who's not yet broken into the scene.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's like that next stepping stone.
So that was
you'd
a
like to see.
LAN event for tier 2
That-
teams.
yeah,
So
Yeah.
what, like
Yeah, 'cause
9
there's-
through 16?
Oh, the one you're talking about, the one that Bull Send won.
yes, that both
Yes.
So
Yes.
how do you make a tournament like that where
That-
like you make sure
that
that
already-
only the lower tier teams play?
It
What
already
was there-
exists,
you
it
limit?
exists right now. It's happening right now. There's
the
an event called
AAA.
the AAA thing, and it's
Yeah.
for like all the teams that just missed out on closed quals. So like
Yep.
17 through 24 play in an event, and I think it's just basically like Rocket League, but right here, or like RLCS events, but like just one beneath it.
Yeah.
So
What
I think there's-
AAA is doing is really good. I mean, that's
And it's
one
gonna-
of the tournaments we played.
It's going to culminate into a LAN. If I'm not
Oh, is it?
mistaken.
I didn't know that.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah,
At the end
That's
of things.
awesome. Is that Psionics doing that, or is it just FOB doing that?
I think they're like hand in hand, but it's not like Psionic sponsored.
Okay. Yeah, I'd love
That's
to
the
see some
tough part.
Psionics
Is
sponsors.
if you go, I mean, if yeah, it's a really hard one because if you were Psionics, I mean, where do you put your money? If you've got a certain
Yeah.
budget, do you
Right.
put your money into a bubble LAN, or do you put your money into making the actual RLCS LAN bigger? It's a very, very tough
Yeah, no,
situation.
That is tough.
That's
so
also
because-
made, I think, extra easy to choose right now, Johnny, because of like the return of the lands, and so that's
Yeah.
the number one
Yeah.
focus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once they have a year of lands and like they know they can run a season of RLCS post COVID, then I think you're gonna get to see them flex out more. And they have been hiring more and more people,
Yeah.
more and more project managers on the esports team, so they should have more focuses like that.
Let's go to Leipzig
Hopefully.
again. Yeah.
I tried to bid
Dude,
Chicago, but realized he was in Chicago.
Reed
Why
hated
Leipzig?
Leipzig. I was like,
okay, why? I want to know why, but I want to add to it.
okay, well, like, they're like, if there's a DreamHack in Leipzig, would you go? This is like obviously when I was still on the team. Jaws was like, no. Reed's like, no. Janus was like, no, I don't want to go. I was like, I would go. Like, I just want to play. Like, I was the guy who said, I just want to play.
Is that crazy?
Can you believe that?
Wow.
That is
Okay,
crazy.
yeah, our
Wait,
hotel
wait.
was in a cornfield. It had like a lock and key sort of thing. You know, it wasn't the high tech thing, but it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it was
yeah.
all good.
So
G-
wait,
G2
did you
G2
did
had
they put
budget
you up in a-
cuts.
Did they put you in an Airbnb?
Oh,
No, it was a hotel.
Did they put you in an Airbnb or something? What is this?
It was a
Like
hotel
that.
with like a cornfield across and like a Volkswagen dealership on the other side or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
I was
wait,
in
you
a
went there
hotel
too?
hotel.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was at Leipzig.
No. Oh, well, I think no. We were
Not the
we
cornfield
were
thing.
in a different hotel.
I just no, but I got a different nightmare because I was in Nose Dude's room, and that was like those bathrooms where you could completely see the silhouette of the person.
Yes.
And I think I woke up
Uh-huh.
one morning and like rolled over and saw the complete silhouette of Nose Dude, like probably about to take a shower, and I was like, I'm going back to bed.
How big was his nose?
I don't think was that Leipzig though.
That was like yes.
Well, we
That was
we
actually,
had
do you
we
know
had
that was
different hotels, so I don't
season
know.
1, the first ever Rocket League season. It had these hotels, or the hotel rooms had a window to the bathroom. I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
What is
RLCS
going on
season
here?
4 had that as well. Yeah.
They
I
must
was
have had
with,
so many complaints because I think Marky Duda like told the front desk, and they came with like a pre-cut like sticky like piece of floor and covered the window. I was like, they've done this before. They've done this before. Class.
He said, "That's not a nose."
No, that is so funny.
No, Leipzig was just like, I couldn't believe how dead the city was. Like, it was 10
Yeah.
p.m. on the weekend, and I didn't see a single person alive outside. It was just like, where is everybody? Where did they all go?
Oh
The
my
event
God.
finished, and we wanted to go out and like just go
What?
to any restaurant.
Are
or
you
bar
serious?
that's
It was
open.
popping next. They were harvesting the crops across the street all night.
Oh, see, we weren't at the card
It was
field.
prime
we were
time.
We were in the city center, and it was empty. There was no one there. And, like, everywhere was closed.
We were beyond the city center.
We found the only place that was open was an Irish bar. That was it. That was
Yep,
the only place that
yep.
was open. The whole place.
Yep.
The whole of like I think the city's like it's a small city, like 600,000 people, but they all go to bed at 10 p.m. apparently. So don't go to Leipzig if you want to go
No
out
nightlife. I think it's just
to
like older people.
nightlife. I don't know, man.
Oh
But it's
man.
the same size as my city, and like people nobody's asleep at that time. Everybody's outside.
Yeah, but you're Scottish, so.
Yeah, that's different.
Your city's young and kicking.
I'm ancient. I'm 31.
That's
You
not,
still got
that's
it,
not,
you're good.
that's- yeah, it's not that bad. That's not
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Why does that have to be bad? Any kind of bad.
It's on the on the.
You-
on the
you said
middle
it
of
as
the
if it was bad,
scale.
so-
Yeah.
Hey,
You said,
man,
you
I'm
said
gonna-
I'm ancient.
Ancient.
You said I'm. You
That's a
said
good-
I'm a relic.
I'm like.
All right, well, chat. I think this is going to wrap Chalked Cast number 6 up. I appreciate all my amazing guests for stopping by. I appreciate
you, Rizzo.
chat for being here. Thank you everybody for stopping by. Yeah, I mean, you want any final words from the people here?
Appreciate
Thanks
you
for
having
having us, Rizzo.
All right, that's what I was looking for. Hey, thank you everybody.
There we
All
go.
All right, I'll catch you later, chat.
Good
Bye bye,
night.
everybody. All right, they can.